कंप्यूटर विज्ञान शिक्षा कार्यक्रम के डिजाइन, विकास और क्रियान्वयन और बुनियादी ढांचा प्रदान करने के लिए विश्वविद्यालय का आईटी समर्थन वातावरण। प्रोफेसर पंत ने विभिन्न पहलुओं के में लगभग 100 शोध पत्र प्रकाशित किए हैं। प्रोफेसर पंत ने एटमस नामक एक शैक्षणिक फिल्म की पटकथा भी लिखी है, जिसका निर्माण आईआईटी कानपुर में किया गया था और वर्ष 1974 के लिए सर्वश्रेष्ठ शैक्षणिक फिल्म होने के लिए इंटरनेशनल कप ऑफ रोम पुरस्कार दिया गया। इसके बाद इसने उस वर्ष का राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार भी प्राप्त किया। आप भारत में आईआईटी कानपुर में भौतिकी पढ़ाने के केलर को योजना शुरू करने वाले पहले व्यक्ति थे। इस प्रयोग की पूरी रिपोर्ट इंडियन जर्नल ऑफ फिजिक्स एजुकेशन में की गई। कंप्यूटर शिक्षा की शुरुआत की। प्रोफेसर पंत की मुख्य रुचि अब शैक्षिक क्षेत्र में परिवर्तनों पर विचार करना और दुनिया भर के शोध और विचारों को आकर्षित करना है। नई शैक्षिक मॉडल के लिए कार्यान्वयन प्रयासों का समर्थन करने के लिए आपने स्वयं के विचारों के साथ पूरक करना है। अब बहुत अधिक समय न लेते हुए मैं सीधे सर को उनके प्रभावी उद्बोधन के लिए बहुत ही आदर और अदब के साथ आमंत्रित करता हूं। आदरणीय प्रोफेसर एम पंत सर।
डॉक्टर सुमित जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद ये परिचय देने के लिए। जिस विषय पे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ उस विषय पे पूरा हिंदी में तो कह पाना मुश्किल होगा।
नहीं सर, आप इंग्लिश में ही बोल सकते हो, कोई
नहीं, हम हिंदी में बोलेंगे, पर इंग्लिश में जिसको कहते हैं कि जो चीजें इंग्लिश में सहज भाव से कही जा सकती है वो इंग्लिश में कहूंगा, जो हिंदी में सहज भाव से कही जा सकती है वो हिंदी में कहूंगा। और इसको जो मैंने पहले भी कहा था ऑर्गेनाइजर्स को, मैं पावर पॉइंट स्लाइड वगैरह की जगह मैं ये एक तरीके से हम आपस में बातचीत के फॉर्मेट में इसकी बात करेंगे। और ज्यादातर क्योंकि अब आप सब लोग आजकल कंप्यूटर का जमाना है, आप लोग गूगल में सर्च कर सकते हैं, विकिपीडिया में देख सकते हैं, तो कहते हैं अक्लमंद को इशारा काफी। तो बहुत सारी चीजों में मैं सिर्फ संक्षेप में बात बताऊंगा और उसको आप विस्तार में जो है गूगल, विकिपीडिया, यूट्यूब और आजकल तो चैट जीपीटी है, उसमें से पता कर लेंगे। पर मुख्यतः जो हमारा उद्देश्य है इस सेशन का वो ये है कि फ्यूचर चैलेंजेस बिफोर टीचर्स, और इसके ऊपर हम बेसिकली बात कर रहे हैं कि हमारे आगे क्या चैलेंजेस हैं एज ए टीचर। बिकॉज आपने सुना होगा और कई लोगों ने ऐसा कहा है कि जब एआई आएगा तो ये ह्यूमन टीचर की जरूरत नहीं होगी। ये भी एक पूरी धारणा है और कुछ लोगों का इस पर पूरा विश्वास है, कुछ लोगों का लगता है ये होगा पर अभी नहीं होगा, वगैरह वगैरह। और मैं इसको लेक्चर टाइप का नहीं रखना चाहता हूँ, जैसे बात हुई है हम इसको चाहते हैं कि हमारे आपके बीच में वार्तालाप रहेगा। तो मैं उसमें क्या, हम लोग हैं करीब 40-50 लोग हैं, तो आप लोग अगर कुछ पूछेंगे और मैं उसमें रिस्पॉन्ड करूंगा तो वो ज्यादा इफेक्टिव वार्तालाप होगा बनस्बत जैसे कि मैं सिर्फ अपनी मन की बात कहूँ। तो सिर्फ अपनी मन की बात कहने की जगह मैं आप लोगों के मन में जो चल रहा है उसको लेके भी करूंगा। पर मेरा ख्याल है कि जो इस सेशन की खासियत होगी वो होगी कि इसमें कुछ नई बातें जरूर होंगी जो आपने शायद पहले ना सोची हो, ना सुनी हो, उसकी ओर। आपके एक हफ्ते का ये प्रोग्राम चला हुआ है जिसको फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट कहते हैं, और उसमें बहुत सारे सेशन दिए गए होंगे। पर पिछला ही सेशन जो कंक्लूडिंग सेशन था वो सेशन प्रोफेसर जीडी शर्मा का था रिसर्च के ऊपर, और वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट बात है। अभी तक क्या हुआ है कि बाय एंड लार्ज हम कहते हैं टीचर का काम है पढ़ाना, लेकिन मैं इस सेशन में आपको यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि नहीं, आपका काम उससे कहीं ज्यादा है। आपका काम है पूरी शिक्षा की पद्धति को डेवलप करना, और इनके बारे में मैं आपको कहानियां बताऊंगा और चीजें बताऊंगा। सो क्या हुआ है, जैसा हर चीज में होता है, इसको कहा जाता, इंग्लिश में ज्यादा अच्छा कह पाता हूँ कि पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कहा जाता है, कि एक तरीके से देखा जा रहा था कुछ, जैसे आप ऐसे ही देख लीजिए, जिसको कहते हैं राजपाट में और राजकाज में, पहले था राजा सर्वोच्च होता था, सारी चीज होती थी राजा के अराउंड। अभी हम हिस्ट्री भी पढ़ते हैं तो आपको पता है कि ये राजा था, फिर ये राजा था, फिर ये राजा था, ये। आज हम क्या कहते हैं, आज जनता की बात हो रही है। आज बात हो रही है कि जनता के लिए क्या हो रहा है, जनता क्या कर रही है, जनता जनार्दन वगैरह। तो इसको हम पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कहेंगे। इसी तरीके से शिक्षा में पैराडाइम शिफ्ट होने जा रही है, और मैं उसकी तरफ आपका ध्यान देना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि हमको ये समझ में आ गया कि टीचर का काम लेक्चर देना नहीं है सिर्फ, बहुत कुछ और भी है। पर इसके लिए मैं कहानी से शुरू करना चाहता हूँ, और मैं आपको इस बीच में कम से कम 4-5 कहानियां तो सुनाऊंगा ही। उसके बाद फिर जब आप लोग अपने विचार रखेंगे तब और कहानियां सुनाऊंगा। पहली कहानी है एक एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन की। एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन का हम सब लोगों ने नाम सुना है, बहुत बड़ा वैज्ञानिक था और फिजिसिस्ट था, और नोबेल प्राइज भी मिला था। और करीब ये कहानी चलती है सन 1905 के आसपास। तो 1905 के आसपास एल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन फिजिक्स पढ़ाते थे। एक इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एडवांस स्टडी होता है प्रिंसटन में, बड़ा मशहूर इंस्टीट्यूट है बहुत। उसमें एकदम जिसको कहते हैं फ्रंट लाइन की बातें होती हैं, नई नई बातें होती हैं। तो वो फिजिक्स पढ़ाते थे, और जैसे आप जानते हैं कि समय आया इम्तहान लेने का, तो इम्तहान के लिए क्वेश्चन पेपर बनाना होता है। अब हम बात करें 1905 की, तो कोई कंप्यूटर नहीं है, कोई लेजर प्रिंटर नहीं है, कोई कुछ नहीं है, फोटोकॉपिंग मशीन भी नहीं है। क्या है? टाइपराइटर है। तो प्रोफेसर आइंस्टाइन ने हाथ से अपना क्वेश्चन पेपर लिख के अपने टीचिंग असिस्टेंट को दिया और कहा इसको टाइप करके इसकी कॉपीज बना के स्टूडेंट्स को बंटवा दो। अब टीचिंग असिस्टेंट क्या होता है? टीचिंग असिस्टेंट वो होता है जिसकी उस विषय में कुछ है, प्रवीणता है, और वो बड़े प्रोफेसरों के साथ काम करना चाहता है। आप भी जानते होंगे, जो आपके साथी लोग कभी विदेश गए होंगे तो उन्होंने टीचिंग असिस्टेंटशिप, ये वो रिसर्च असिस्टेंटशिप ये सब ली होगी, जिससे उनको कुछ फाइनेंशियल मदद मिली, जिससे अपनी पढ़ाई कर सके। तो ये टीचिंग असिस्टेंट ने क्वेश्चन पेपर देखा और देखा ये तो बिल्कुल वही पेपर है जो पिछले साल का था। उसको लगा कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि आइंस्टाइन भूल गए, बुढ़ापा आ सकता है। कई बार होता है प्रोफेसर लोग अपनी धुन में होते हैं, भूल जाते हैं कि ये तो क्वेश्चन पेपर मैंने दिया हुआ है। तो उन्होंने कहा प्रोफेसर ये तो वही क्वेश्चन पेपर है जो आपने इन्हीं लोगों को पिछले साल दिया है। तो ऐसा तो रिपीट नहीं होता पूरा पेपर। तो आइंस्टाइन हंसा, जैसे मैंने आइंस्टाइन हंसे और उन्होंने उससे कहा तो बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो, एकदम वही प्रश्न है, लेकिन उत्तर बदल गए हैं। और ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है हम लोगों के लिए समझने के लिए। जो आज की हम बात कर रहे हैं वो यही है, प्रश्न वही है, उत्तर बदल गए हैं। और आपने खुद देखा है, शिक्षा में आप लोग रहे हैं, जब पैंडेमिक आया तो ये प्रश्न हमारे कितने सामने आया, इतना फंडामेंटल आया कि भाई यू कुडंट गो टू स्कूल, यू कुडंट गो टू कॉलेज, you couldn't go to university, so we had to find new ways. And this is what Einstein was saying. Einstein was saying questions are the same, the answers have changed. And the reason for the change of answers is that what I called earlier, the paradigm had changed. So questions are still the same. What do we teach? How do we teach? Where do we teach? Who teaches? How do we assess? And so on. But during the pandemic, the answers changed completely. And what we are seeing, Google Meet and Zoom and so many WhatsApp, etc., was something which was not used in the pre-pandemic age. Pre-pandemic age, the formal education would not allow this. They were actually considered second-rate, second-hand, sometimes illegal, illegitimate, and so on and so forth. Now, that is what is very important. So, I want to draw your attention to a few more things. I've switched to English because there was some request that you should speak in English only, and therefore I have done that. If somebody wants anything specifically in Hindi, I'm quite happy to give a Hindi version also. So let me give you 5 important changes that have happened, which you may not have noticed, but are very important. First, change from education for a chosen few to education for all. Now, it is very funny. When you look at your education system, by and large, it is about denying you education rather than providing you education. Now, you may say, no, that is not so. Education system is about providing education. Try to learn something. Try to say, I want to learn this. You won't get admission into a school because the number of seats are limited. Only so many are allowed, so on. You want to study most important thing, engineering, IIT. You say, I want to learn engineering of IIT because that is the best. They say out of 5 million people who will apply, we will give only to a few thousand. Why? Now, this is the point about the challenge to education. That if something is worth learning, then more people should be able to learn. This is coming from our old tradition. Old tradition was education is not for everybody. Education is only for a few. You can go to the great past Indian heritage of saying only the Brahmins will need to learn or so on. Or even if you go to the English tradition, only a few people would learn. Even in the rest of the world, even in America today, not everybody is able to go to university. Very few people go to university. So the first thing that has changed is that education is no longer something which is meant only for the few, which the government decides who are the deserving people, to something where we are saying education for all. And this is a very important thing. So now we are talking of 1 billion people being educated compared to a few thousand people being educated. Not only that, we want these people to be able to actually learn what they are supposed to learn. Very often you will see in board and result that only 70% have passed or 60% have passed. Sometimes even very small percentage have passed. There is no point. There is no point in saying I went through 12 years of learning, but I don't know. So this is one of the very important things. The other interesting thing that has happened is so far, even the educated, not too long ago, metric pass was a very big thing. Then it became everybody must pass school, then university, then everybody must be graduate. Today we are saying that at the university level, the GER should be more than 50% or whatever, and so on. So we are saying that from a few years of school, college, university, we are saying lifelong learning. So now 1 billion people learning for their whole life because things are changing very fast. There's a very famous person, Alvin Toffler. He said, the illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we are therefore talking about lifelong learning. There's a difference in the teacher also. Earlier, the teacher was supposed to be an all-knowing teacher. Although he may be limited, so he may be called a PGT in physics, which means he knows all physics for class 12 students. If it's a TGT in physics or science, he knows all science for class 10 students, and so on. And that was it, and he was only allowed to teach that. Now we want, and you just had 1 week of FDP, we want teachers to be lifelong learners. So student is learning is all right, but teacher is also learning. And this is the third important change. And the sixth more important one is that for a long time, and I recall when I began my teaching for the first time in 1966 or so, the two things that I was told by my seniors was to speak loud enough so that the students of the last row can hear me, and write on the blackboard large enough and clear enough so that students in the last row can see what I have written. There was no technology at all, no even overhead projector, forget about PowerPoint, forget about a voice amplifier, and of course, like now we are talking Google Meet or Zoom, that of course was not there. So the teacher was an unarmed person in the battle against ignorance. Now, those of you have some idea of the army. In army, this is what they are taught. when you have nothing to fight with, you are into the mode of unarmed combat. And this is what the teacher was. He had no support of any kind, only that chalk and the blackboard. And I had switched to Hindi for a while, and those who can be a little patient. There was a very famous poem in Hindi, I think by Sonlal Dwivedi or somebody, who talked about a warrior. He said, "Na haath ek astra ho, na saath ek shastra ho, na an neer vastra ho, ruko nahi, jhuko nahi." That was what our teacher was supposed to be. He had no technology, he had no tools, he had nothing, but he or she was supposed to actually fight the battle of ignorance. And fifth point that I want to make before you, and you can think of many of your own things that are changing. The fifth one is that the teacher is no longer alone in the classroom. The earlier experience and method of teaching was the teacher was there in the class all alone, more or less. But now the teacher is supported by a lot of things. Why? The collective wisdom of all the teachers is also available to the teacher. You can use it before coming to class, you can use it by various forums that they're on. And the most important thing, and I will talk about it once you people raise that issue, the thing like AI chat GPT. So chat GPT is an aid to the teacher. Anything where the teacher is stuck, you can use chat GPT to help them out. And you have already must have heard a lot about it. So that's the. Now this is a very important concept that I want to share with you. They normally have education managed by the government or sometimes the private sector, or private sector following the guidelines of the government. But I want to draw your attention to something, and I told you I will draw your attention to a few things which you might not have heard of before. And this is to a woman whose name was Elinor Ostrom. Elinor Ostrom. Elinor Ostrom won the Nobel Prize for Economics in the year 2009. You imagine. And she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in Economics. And she won the Nobel Prize for something very interesting. She won the Nobel Prize for saying that many things are best done by the community than either by the government or the private sector. In fact, prior to her work, there was a very common phrase in this thing called the tragedy of the commons. In fact, Garrett Harding had a paper on this which was considered most accepted, that if something is held in commons, it doesn't belong to somebody, does not have property right, it will go into disrepair because people will overuse it or irresponsibly use it and so on. What Elinor Ostrom did was, and you don't get a Nobel Prize just like that, she actually did studies of so many things which are held in commons and found that if it is properly managed, then that is done better than either the government or the private sector. Why I'm sharing this with you is that this is the reason why you have never heard of Elinor Ostrom, although she's won a Nobel Prize in Economics, is the first woman to have won a Nobel Prize in Economics, because the government doesn't want to let you know that you can do it better than the government, and the private sector doesn't want you to know that you can do it better. But if you look at the example of what is called the scientific community, there's a great example. From 300 years ago, from Isaac Newton to Galileo to whatever you want to call, science has been done by the community. And it is the community which decides what will happen, what is right, what is not, etc., etc. There is no such official government science or a private corporation. They may be doing it as investors, but the key thing is managed by the scientific community. What is accepted is by the scientific community, and they must follow those methods. You cannot get scientific recognition by sponsorship or something like that, and so on and so forth. So the reason I'm saying this is I'm coming next to the next very important point. And that is the most important point, that educators, teachers, we all have to work towards developing a science of learning. So Professor G.D. Sharma told you yesterday about the importance of research. And one research which we all have to do is on the science of learning. And it is very interesting. We have all these big programs, big things, NEP 2020, all other kind of joke, but there is nobody who has even articulated what is the science of learning. The methods of education that we use are whims and fancies of important people. You have Mr. X, he gave some vision for education. And Mr. Y, he gave some vision for education. Somebody says, teach in mother tongue. Somebody says, teach this. Somebody says, don't teach evolution. Somebody says, teach this, whatever. One, but this is not supported by any science. There is absolute. And who will do that science? It is educators who will do that science. To some extent, there was a session in this program by Rahul Agarwal who talked about neuroscience and education. That is the closest we have as to how learning happens. The earlier ones we have, of course, Pavlovian method and Pavlovian thing, but that is stimulus response. It is not learning of complex things. So if you had the science of learning, you would be able to learn every single person to the potential that the person has. And why this is very important is that the science and technology have to go together. Very often we think that once we have technology, we can do the education, and the experience that we have seen in the last 20 years is that technology does not make for better education. You can use Zoom, you can use Google Meet, but if there is no science in that pedagogy, merely having the technology will not. And you all are known, if you are educators, you know this, and otherwise I would encourage you to Google or Wikipedia something called the learning pyramid. In the learning pyramid, it is well documented. You just say learning pyramid, you will immediately see that image, that lecture is only 5% effective. Reading is 10%. Something else is 15%. Discussion is a little more. It's only doing, teaching, or creating that comes, which is what is in Bloom's taxonomy of higher order thinking. What I'm really trying to say is that all educators, and why all educators? Because science is not meant for three people. That somebody will, some big man in India getting something will be doing the research and you will all follow that. No. Science is universal. Science is everywhere. So what is happening in your classroom, what is happening in your community, you may get some new phenomenon. And from that you will be able to find something. It is not like somebody, it is people in authority want to do that. They want to create one thing for all. This is the syllabus, you must study. This is the exam, you must pass. This is this, you must do. And actually, many of you will be amused to know that Pavlov was very much liked by Lenin. Lenin actually thought, if he could get all my citizens to salivate like dogs, my life would be very, very simple. But actually we know, and Rahul Agarwal's session would have told you, that the brain is a very complex thing. In fact, he must have told you about the myths that we have about the brain, how the brain actually works, what are the various things, and we are still trying to learn about this. So my very important message to all of you is to draw upon what Professor G.D. Sharma said and become researchers. And you can research, you can observe you observe what's happening in the classroom. Research doesn't have to be, in fact, one of the biggest contributors to educational pedagogy was Jean Piaget. And Jean Piaget did not have a very big laboratory in which he did. He just observed his three children. He just observed his three children going through the different stages of learning as they grew up and created this entire theory of Piaget's concept formation, etc. of learning. Each of you can also do. You are observing your children, your neighbors' children, this thing, and your children in the classroom. And even if you are in higher education, It is again, because as you know, we talk about pedagogy for small children, andragogy for grown-up children motivation, heutagogy for self-directed children. So you could be doing research, everything that you try. And what happens if you document it properly, analyze it, try to get insights, you could be creating something very interesting. Especially when you start asking the opposite question. Why is it that people are not learning? You gave a talk to 70 people. Out of 70 people, 10 people understood everything and got very good marks. Another 10 understood some of it. Others found it very... Why did this happen? Try to figure out what was the cause. What is it that is coming in the way of the learning? And you will find it. So I really want to emphasize this because unfortunately, there is nothing like that happening. We did have institutions like NCERT, and we had various institutions of education which were supposed to do, but nothing has really come out. I told you a story about Albert Einstein, and I want to tell you another story about the importance of science. Now, we often think of science as that which is prescribed in that CBSE syllabus or prescribed or removed from NCERT books and so on. But science is not just a bundle of facts. Science is an approach. And what we found is that with time, more and more subjects move towards science. In fact, if you will recall, the Nobel Prize was being given for physics and chemistry and medicine and so on. But later on, economics was also included in it. Now, there may be even a debate that whether economics is science or not, etc. But economics is becoming more science than it was before. Similarly, many other subjects now are becoming more scientific than what they were before. And I want to share with you a very interesting story of medicine. Most of you must be believing that medicine is a science. Do you? Especially after the coronavirus and its treatment, etc., and our faith in hospitals and medicine, we kind of believe that medicine is a science. But it was not until recently. In fact, of the books that I would like to refer to, there's a very nice book by Thomas Lewis. The book is called The Youngest Science. Google for it, Amazon for it. You can even get a free PDF for it called The Youngest Science by Thomas Lewis. Thomas Lewis himself is a doctor whose father was a doctor, and in his early life means when he was small, he accompanied his father to many of the patient visits that his father was doing. And he says that there was no science in medicine. Medicine was a practice which the so-called doctors did. And they had no idea why they're doing it, what happens and so on. In fact, since you are all academics, the first university to do science-based medicine was Johns Hopkins University, and they had to take permission from the medical fraternity that we want to do science and do medicine on the basis of science. Now, you may not believe it, but I have this story to tell you. So I told you a story about Albert Einstein around the year 1905. I'll tell you a story a little earlier. In fact, today is 2nd July. The story is of 2nd July, 1881. Not too long ago, 1881 is like 140 years or so before today's time. So it may look very old, but it isn't all that old. It's just about 140 years old. And I'm especially talking about July 2nd, 1881. And again, you're most welcome to go to Google or Wikipedia or wherever to learn more about it. On July 2nd, 1881, the 20th President of the United States, James Abraham Garfield, was shot by a disappointed person. Like, Lincoln was shot, or Gandhi was shot, or Mrs. Indira Gandhi was shot, and so on. But the injury, or the whatever you might say, was not fatal immediately. So he didn't die immediately because of the bullet wound. But he died in September 19th, 1881, about 3 months later, due to the infection caused by the doctor's unsanitary methods. Actually, the person who shot the bullet finally said, "I only shot him. It is the doctors who killed him." Today, of course, you have lots of examples of doctors killing their patients, but this killing is something which you will read. You will be astonished. They were removing the bullets with their bare hands. There was no such thing as washing the hands, the cleaning. Everything that we did in coronavirus was not being done. US President, 20th President of the US, suffers a bullet wound. The doctors attending to him don't wash their hands or use any septic thing to be able to do that. And he died out of infections out of that, and also out of pain. I mean, if you read that story, you'll feel so sorry that this is the thing, that he's the president of the US, he has the doctors on call, and the doctors are treating this thing. Why? Because they did not have any interest in science. They had no idea of the germ theory, they had no idea of these things, they had no idea infections are caused by that, and so on and so forth. Actually, you will be surprised that even the circulation of blood was not known 400 years ago. Harvey discovered the circulation of blood 400 years ago. The reason I am saying is that I cannot say this too loudly, I personally am very sorry for our young children who are all going through all this education thing, designed by people who had no idea of the science of learning. Millions of students every year are suffering so much in terms of their mental capacities, in terms of their ability to learn, in terms of their, what I would say, mutilation in terms of the learning capacity or cognitive capacity, and there is nobody to. And therefore it is important for us as educators to really look at this, work on it, and do as much as we can towards the science of learning. Draw upon what Rahul Agarwal told us about neuroscience, and a lot more also. Follow with that, work it out, and apply this. See, even with all the problems, we see that by and large healthcare has improved. Healthcare has improved because the outcome of medical research was applied to medical practice. Outcome of educational research is buried in your PhD thesis, your report, your seminars, your conference, FDP programs, whatever, not applied in practice. I think this is a very, very important aspect. When we talk about changing role of teachers, opportunity teachers, we are talking about these kind of things. I want to be able to actually get more interaction and really encourage you to make comments, observations, and so on. So I'll say a few more points, and then I will encourage you to make your comments, observations, comments, and respond to that, so that there is more of my narratives in response to what is agitating you, or what is interesting you, or what is bothering you, than something entirely on its own. Now, so one of the clear things that we said is technologies are coming up, and I just want to draw your attention to these, because each of these can take a full session, and you have attended a few sessions on these. But I just want to draw your attention that these are things to watch out for. The first thing that is coming around, we've already come to the age of PowerPoint and Zoom and Google Meet and so on. But the next thing that are coming are augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. And as you've already seen in augmented reality, you have something of the digital space, which is overlaid on what you're seeing as the physical space. In virtual reality, you're in an immersive experience in a completely different space when you wear those goggles, etc., and are in the typical. Both these places, new products are being launched. So Quest is being launched, which is at a lower price, but Apple is coming up with something which is very expensive and very futuristic mixed reality set priced at $3,500 and so on and so forth. But it is going to be very interesting because it allows you to have a very different kind of experiential learning of things which otherwise cannot be. We can talk about medicine, for example. We can talk about space. We can talk about even so many other behavioral issues. And for all these kind of things, this will become very, very important and interesting. And this is not evolving into what is being called the metaverse. A couple of years ago, metaverse was a very hot topic. Everybody was talking about it. From November 22, everybody's talking about AI chat GPT, but that doesn't mean that the metaverse no longer exists. So the metaverse continues to be there. There will continue to be developments on that. And these are things with which we have to be aware. I'd like to say, like in everything in life, there'll be so many things, and some people will operate on one thing, some people will operate on another thing. It's the diversity and the range of learning experiences which will be something which are going to be important, and so on and so forth. So as educators, it is good to know about, see, in every field what will happen, you will decide to go at depth in a certain field and then be broadly aware of what is going on in other fields, and more importantly, always have a personal relationship with somebody who's good in that other field, so that you can draw upon him at any point of time that you want to know more about it. Another important technology that is coming up is the technology of blockchain. Now, one of the important aspects of academic activities is the credentialing, the certification, and so on and so forth. Now, when they were limited, that you had only a few universities giving degrees, only a few students getting degrees, giving a degree on parchment paper with signature of the vice chancellor, registrar, etc., was good enough. But when you have millions of students, and they will have all kinds of qualifications, not just degrees, they will have small certifications, focus skill-based certifications, competency-based certifications, and so on. Then you will have millions of certifications. And then putting them as paper documents and trying to verify will be very difficult, because that process of validating whether this document was genuine or not would be very difficult. And this is where blockchain start coming in. So, and people have already experimented with it. Some universities, in fact, even gave away degrees on blockchain. But the basic idea of a blockchain is that it is a certification, electronic certification of a certain award. It uses cryptography. You put all this on an electronic record, and then you do some cryptography, then you put another record, and so on and so forth. The basic point is that it is so connected that for somebody to alter it or change it is extremely complicated. And for that purposes, it can be very, very secure. So it's just for you to keep aware of it, that this is going to be an important aspect of this thing. I'm quite eager to get your comments, so I will just make one more point before requesting you to make your comments, observations, and then I will respond to that, or maybe then add to it or whatever. Well, the final thing that I want to draw your attention to is to something called active learning. Now, what has happened is that most of the education that happens has now turned to passive learning. Because the syllabus is defined, the paper expectation of paper is defined, etc. So, and the only thing the universities ask for is attendance in terms of certain percentage. Therefore, people are only wanting to be present there, but not actively involved in the learning. And it is true not only of India, it's all over the world. The model that we have now got has been something where people attend classes, but they're all passive learners. And therefore, there is a movement by somebody who's, I think you should refer to in great detail. His name is Carl Wieman. C-A-R-L, Carl, W-E-I-M-A-N. Carl Wieman. Google for him, do whatever you want, YouTube, etc. He's a big promoter of active learning. But he's a physicist who won the Nobel Prize in Physics in the year 2001 for something called Bose-Einstein condensation, together with others. And the point that he's making, and he said that as a physics teacher in a good university, I found the students were very good in dealing with exams, but they had no excitement about the subject itself. And therefore, he started talking about active learning. And he has a very good article in Nature and so many places. As I said, when you Google, you will get his article, YouTube videos and all these things. And he says very modestly, I have not invented active learning. In fact, all of us who have been educated remember some teachers or the other who had made lectures very exciting, interesting, and so on and so forth. He says active learning has always been there and it's being used by a lot of teachers. He says, I'm also not talking of a specific method of active learning called Wieman method of active learning. So all that I'm saying is make sure the students in a class are actively engaged and involved with what they are learning. And you know, you do project-based learning, you do flipped learning, we do all kinds of things, web quest, all these are examples of active learning. What I'm trying to say is that if we want to be future-ready teachers, better teachers, then let us start looking at adapting these active learning features into our thing. What is very interesting is that apart from the Nobel Prize in Physics, he has also got a very high-level prize in education called the Yiden Prize in Education. In September 2020, he got the Yiden Prize in Education, which is also a very large amount, $4 million or some such thing, for being in education. And he's a professor of education in Stanford University. So it is not as if he's giving a casual remark. Because he's got the Nobel Prize in Physics, he's telling us what we should do. He's also an acknowledged educationist who is suggesting to people that we should move on to active learning. So what I think I will do is I will now pause and request you, and especially the organizer Sumit, to get other people. So for your questions, comments, observations, thoughts, and then I will like to respond to that so that we move forward and so on. And of course, I can always add more things as is needed. But first, an opportunity for you to express yourself and for me to respond. And you can feel free to ask either in Hindi or in English. I will try to respond either way.
हाँ, सभी प्रतिभागियों से अनुरोध है कि जिनके आपकी अगर कोई क्वेश्चन है तो सब पूछ सकते हैं आप लोग. रेज हैंड कर दीजिएगा जिनको भी जो सवाल पूछना हो. गौतम देव, अपने रेज हैंड कर रखा था पहले. गौतम देव, आवाज आ रही है मेरी आपको? राधिका जी.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude. As in, you have it was wonderful session. Especially the question about science of learning is very, very important. So I take this as a readiness for the learner. So we need to be acknowledged to the fact that what my learner is ready to and what are the process. I just want to share my observation we do talk about autonomy in pedagogy, whether it is the teacher's choice and the teacher has the freedom to do the method, whatever method she wants to implement in her class. But I have this question in mind. There are certain things which comes from an authoritative figure. For instance, there are many papers. For instance, there is a course called BLEd, which is being scrapped from Delhi University. There are lots of content in BLEd which make a teacher to question, to be aware, to acknowledge the learner's background, etc. So I just want you to, as in comment, maybe what will be the stand of the teacher in the class if there are certain things which is coming from a higher authority where. So I'm really questioning the autonomy aspect in the classroom, where if there are certain things which is not in the hand of the teacher and it is directly not only BLEd but there are other papers also, and there are a lot of modification in terms of the curriculum, etc., etc. So that is one thing which I want to share. Otherwise, it was a very excellent talk, I must say, because there are very important paradigm shift, basically the worldview, how you are adapting to the changing in the world, especially the changing in the education and pedagogy, etc. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so what you are saying is actually something which we face across life, throughout. Forget education, teaching, everywhere. There will be certain things you want to do, certain things that need to be done, and certain things that the authority says. Including, as you said, I myself in this session have said a few things like that. And there is no problem in that. You do all three things. You do what the authority says because the authority says so. You do what you feel like it because your mind says so. And you say what should be done because that is what is preparation for the future. And I will end my thing with example of that. But this spirit I was exposed to when I started my university, 1962. My professor of mathematics is telling me that what you have in the syllabus, you can read the textbooks, you can see the old question papers and so on. And that you guys can do, you're all bright guys. I'm going to tell you what is not in the syllabus. And he taught us set theory, group theory, abstract mathematics, etc., field, tensor, etc., all of which was not in our syllabus, which helped me a lot in my journey as a scientist in future. And this is exactly what we have to do. As educators, we say, this we are doing because it is required to be done. That has been mandated. We'll do that. This is something which is very interesting around it. And then this is something which is preparing you for the future. And therefore, you will do that. You will not fight. See, there is the point about knowledge is you don't have to fight that this is the true knowledge, this is the, all the knowledge is infinite. So therefore, there is no need to fight about what. Now, obviously, if your students are enlightened and progressive, they will take all these three things. If they want only the exam, they will take only the part which is in the exam seriously. But as an influencer, as a teacher, as an educator, you will tell them what the world is about. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I will build on this towards the end. I will talk about a few futuristic things.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Amita ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my query is, sir, like you talked about the science of learning. When we talk about science, then we mostly think about observation and experimentation or something which can be repeated in a controlled environment. Sir, how would we handle if we are moving towards such a scenario? How are we going to tackle the diversity or the individuality or the specific requirements of different genre of students? I mean, as a teacher, I cannot have one plan of action for all the students. I may have students who are slow, some are fast, or maybe some are from diverse backgrounds. How to tackle that?
No, see, there are two things. One is the science and one is the execution. Now, the science of learning will help you figure out who is a slow learner, who is a fast learner, who is an accelerated learner, and so on and so forth. And the science of learning will tell you that you will create unique learning paths for all these. The technology of artificial intelligence will enable you to do that. You cannot do that with unarmed combat in the classroom. You are alone in the classroom with no technology. You cannot implement this. To implement this, you will need AI, which will give personalized learning paths, examples, and so on and so forth. So that is the point. That's why the science of learning is necessary to decide what are you going to give. You agreed that this is diversity. You agreed that these no two children are alike. But what are the two different paths and how will you give them? For that, you need technology.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
बाकी और भी कोई अगर पूछना चाहता है तो शायद सर अभी कोई सवाल नहीं है तो अभी आधा घंटा है।
हाँ नहीं हम तो वो बात सवाल देखिए यही एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है। आप सब लोग टीचर्स हैं और आपसे सवाल नहीं पूछे जा रहे हैं
अपनी
और ये नहीं ये अभी आपने को वो करी क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे आप सवाल क्यों नहीं पूछ पा रहे। एक है कि आपको ये सिखाया गया है कि नहीं आउट ऑफ रेस्पेक्ट सवाल नहीं पूछना चाहिए। एक है कि आपके मन में कोई अगर आपके मन में ही कोई कुतूहल नहीं है तो बड़ी मुश्किल है। फिर आप कैसे हमने कहा भी तो टीचर को हमेशा लर्नर होना चाहिए। आप एक सिंपल चीज देखिए सब लोगों ने छोटे बच्चे देखे होंगे। कोई छोटा बच्चा देख लीजिए अगर वो आपसे बात करने लायक है और आपको वो समझता है कि आपको जानती है तो आपसे पूछेगा ये चंद्रमा गोल क्यों होता है, ये घास लाल क्यों होती है, हरी क्यों होती है, ये फूल लाल क्यों है, वो फूल पीला क्यों है। ये जब स्कूल जाने लगेगा सवाल धीरे धीरे कम हो जाएंगे। 12वीं पास हो जाएगा कोई सवाल नहीं पूछता। 12वीं के बाद उसको सिर्फ ये पता है आईआईटी में ये सवाल आएगा कि नहीं, अगर आईआईटी में नहीं आएगा तो मेरा कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। ये बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो गई है एजुकेशन की। जो सबसे बड़ी पैराडाइम ये है कि हम चाहते हैं कि लोग ऐसे हैं जो हर चीज के सवाल करें, आखिर क्यों, क्या, कैसे। और सवाल का जैसे अभी किसी ने साइंस के बारे में सवाल का जवाब आज नहीं मिलेगा और साइंस यही कहती है कि आप इस सवाल पूछते रहो तो आगे जाते जाओगे और जवाब मिलता जाएगा। वोल्टेयर फिलोसोफर है, उसने कहा था नो प्रॉब्लम कैन विथस्टैंड द असॉल्ट ऑफ सस्टेन्ड थिंकिंग। तो ये आप लोग कोशिश करनी चाहिए कि ये सवाल पूछिए। और मैं बेसिकली ये चीज सेशन में वही करना चाहता हूँ। नहीं तो मेरा क्या, मैं तो बोलता रह सकता हूँ लेकिन क्लियरली उस बोलने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। तो अगर आपके मन में कोई सवाल उठ ही नहीं रहा है, कोई जिज्ञासा ही नहीं हो रही है तो वो फायदा नहीं है। तो मैं आपको थोड़ा प्रोवोक करना चाहता हूँ कि आप कुछ तो पूछिए। और कोई सवाल अच्छा बुरा नहीं होता है। सवाल वो होता है मेरे मन में कुछ भी सवाल उठता है वो अच्छी चीज है। तो मैं थोड़ा इनकरेज करना चाहता हूँ। बाकी तो फिर मैं अभी टाइम है और मैं बोलता रहूंगा।
सर मीरा जी शायद पूछना चाह रहे हैं। मीरा
हाँ, वेरी गुड।
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It was a very wonderful session. I just want to know, as an experienced person in the learning process, that what is your opinion, or what are the challenges which a teacher has to face in this era? I mean that in AI era, what are you expected from that, and how we can as a teacher from the rank of assistant professor, how we can tackle all such things from your learned experience long time. Thank you.
So two things. One, of course, you talked about AI specifically. I will use that as a filler when we don't have enough questions, that AI to large extent is the answer to many of the issues. But to me, the biggest challenge today of education is motivating people to learn. So the biggest thing that I try to talk to people is how do you get people to be motivated to learn? As I just now said jokingly, by the time they are in class 12, they see nothing other than IIT entrance exam or medical entrance exam as something worth learning. So getting people to be motivated to learn is very important. And I often advise teachers on some of these things, that what is that motivates people to learn. And you recall, a small child is continuously learning. continuously all the waking hours of a child. In fact, a small child, if you will know, researchers have done this. A typical 4-year-old child asks 300 questions a day. The parents finally, out of disgust, send him to school so that at least that person will not ask questions anymore while they are there. And by the time they are in school for 12 years, they stop asking questions. So there are 4 broad theories of motivation. The first trigger of motivation for everybody is money or tangible rewards. So for children, it may be a chocolate or a Kit Kat or pizza or something or whatever. The first motivation is you will give him a reward in terms of money. But what happens is that very soon this reward gets no longer interesting. So once he's had 3-4 pizzas or enough chocolate, etc., that no longer. The other general motivator for people is prestige. That people think I'm good or important. Mera reputation hai among the peer group or among the social group. You must see even in family people, hamari bahut इज्जत hai samaj mein, etc. You remember that movie Chennai Express? Deepika Padukone and Shah Rukh Khan are going on the train. Deepika Padukone says, "मेरे अप्पा का बड़ा इज्जत है." And Shah Rukh says, "Oh, वो teacher है." नहीं, Don है. So the point is, you can इज्जत whichever way. The third is power, that I have power over so many people. But the fourth is a very interesting one. The fourth is a sense of achievement, that I did something which others can't do. I often say this to teachers. If you want your children to do something, you tell them that, this is something which our school students can't do. Only people who have gone to IIT or somewhere else, only they can do such questions. Then you will see your students go back, work all night, and next day come up with the answer. They may go to Google, they may go to Wikipedia, they may go to ChatGPT, but they will find the answer because you have said only IIT students can solve this problem. So this is the kind of thing that we need. And to me, that is the biggest challenge today. What has happened is that because education is kind of massified, lots of these things, etc., the excitement about learning new is not there. The other thing, of course, is that you are taught this in your B.Ed, LT, whatever, that begin every lesson with an excitement about that you are learning something which is new, which lots of people don't know. We don't do that. We try to say this you must learn because your father has paid the fee and this thing you have to learn. No. Suppose if you know this, this is what will be the benefit. You will have this. Others who don't know this. So doing that kind of thing can become quite interesting. I once was doing a training program. My field, as you know, is computers, but the entire audience was botany teachers. I have never studied botany in that sense, but I picked up some botany quickly and I started with this question. I said, what is it that a person who has studied botany, and they have studied up to MSc, knows that those who have not studied botany don't know? And none of them could respond. Because they have such an inferiority complex that who studies botany? And then I told them, do you look here? I said, now there is technology is enough advanced that you can go anywhere in space where you want. Would you like to go to the moon or Mars or Jupiter and so on? And then some people started saying moon, Mars, whatever. I said, fine. So a rocket will take you to the moon. How will you get your vegetables on the moon? I said, only botanists know how to grow vegetables. And then I told them botany is the core science of which agriculture is the application. Just like physics, chemistry is the core science of which engineering is the application. And without botany, you would all starve to death because we will have no vegetables to eat, animals will have no vegetables to eat, and we will all starve to death without botany. And so the point is you have to make subject interesting. You have to get people to take, and then of course they will learn, and then you can ask them to find out more. You know, there's a famous joke which is about what is tomato? Is it a fruit or a vegetable? And technically, botanically, tomato is a fruit. But equally, they say wisdom is in not putting that fruit in a fruit salad. In a fruit salad, you don't put a tomato, although it is technically a fruit. and so you have to make things interesting, and that is the important part, so that the knowledge that people are seeking is something that is excited about, interested. They see the value in doing that. Very often we teach people, so for example, I ask this question, we teach people how to find the third side of a triangle given two sides and the internal angle. Where in life is the person going to use it? So the biggest problem about education today is that we are not communicating to people the value of education, and that is because what we are giving as education is not valuable. But if you give them examples of, situation where ignorance leads to problems, then of course there might be more excitement. It's of course for you as creative people to create more and more examples of why it would be interesting to know something. So now, have I stimulated you to make some questions?
Hello, Madan sir.
Yes.
Hi, sir, namaskar. I'm Sunita from Lakshmi College, Physical Education Department.
Very good.
Sir, thank you. Sir, मुझे
फिजिकल एजुकेशन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, हम लोग इसको नेग्लेक्ट करते हैं, पर दिस इज कोर. इनफैक्ट इस समय सबसे बड़ी चीज ये बतानी है कि अगर आप फिजिकली एक्टिव रहते हैं, एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, तो आपका ब्रेन ज्यादा अच्छा होता है, आप ज्यादा अच्छा पढ़ लिख सकते हैं.
राइट सर, सेम चीज आई वांटेड टू आस्क. जब ये हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की बात करते हैं तो देन यू डोंट थिंक दैट वी आर पुशिंग द किड्स और द पीपल टू सेडेंटरी लाइफस्टाइल, क्योंकि हम उतना ही मतलब हम बात करते हैं, अगर हम ब्रेन की बात अभी आपने बोला कि हम लोग बच्चों को चेस खिलाते हैं, फिजिकली मूवमेंट, हम कहते हैं कि रनिंग करो, गो फॉर एक्सरसाइज, गो फॉर जॉगिंग, मोर ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई विल बी देयर, मोर एक्टिव योर बॉडी विल बी देयर और मोर मसल्स विल वर्क. तो जब हम आर्टिफिशियल के इंटेलिजेंस करते हैं तो उतना कैलकुलेशन, उतना जो हमारा ब्रेन करता है, दैट विल रिड्यूस समवेयर. आपको नहीं लगता इन्वॉल्वमेंट कम हो जाएगी?
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं होगी. आप इसको, क्योंकि हम लोग हिंदी में बात कर रहे हैं, सवाल ये है कि आपका स्कोप कितना बड़ा है. हिंदी और संस्कृत में एक शब्द होता है कूप मंडूक.
राइट, आई नो.
तो अगर आप कुएं के मेढक हैं तब तो प्रॉब्लम है, लेकिन आज की प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रही है? आज की प्रॉब्लम उल्टी है. हमको एआई और टेक्नोलॉजी इसलिए चाहिए कि जो हम करना चाहते हैं वो इतना विस्तार में है कि हम उसको कर ही नहीं सकते इसके बिना.
ये बात सही है.
जी, आज आप पहले बैलगाड़ी में जाते थे, घोड़े में जाते थे, ऊंट पे जाते थे.
नाउ वी आर मूविंग ऑन कार्स. दैट्स ट्रू.
नहीं, हवाई जहाज में
जा रहे हैं. राइट.
आप सिंपल कैलकुलेट करिए. मैं तो कई बार कहता हूँ, हमारे छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं, दे विल गो टू द मून फॉर देयर हनीमून. ठीक है, तो अब मून में जब जाना है तो कितना टाइम लगेगा, कितना वो उन्हें प्लानिंग कितनी लगेगी. वो प्लानिंग सिर्फ ऐसे नहीं होगी, हाथ में उंगली के हिसाब से आ जाएगी कितने. तो सवाल ये उठ रहा है कि हम जो हमारा विस्तार होता है, पृथ्वी का ही विस्तार है गया पूरे. मतलब हम जब छोटे थे तो कोई एक आध आदमी इंग्लैंड अमेरिका चला गया था तो जिंदगी भर कहता था व्हेन आई वाज इन लंदन, व्हेन आई वाज इन कैम्ब्रिज, व्हेन आई वाज. हम लोग खुद पता नहीं 25 साल की उम्र होने तक 25 देश जा चुके थे. हमारे बच्चे जो हैं वो कभी जाते हुए आते हैं, घंटी बजा देता है, वो मैं सिंगापुर जा रहा था, रास्ते में रुक गया. तो दुनिया बदल गई है. वो चीज रही नहीं है. पहले लोग आते थे विदेश तो उसके बाद गंगा नहाने जाते थे, पश्चाताप करते थे, हरिद्वार जाके नहाते थे, क्या सोच के पार चले गए. तो ये जो एआई है ये हमको और ज्यादा करने देगा. तो जो चीजें करना, जैसे कैलकुलेटर आपको ज्यादा कैलकुलेट करने देता है, कंप्यूटर की एक्सेल शीट और ये आपको ज्यादा कठिन कैलकुलेशन करने देती है. आप अगर उसको कागज पेंसिल पे कर रहे होते और स्केल और पेंसिल से मिटा रहे होते तो बहुत टाइम लगता. तो इसलिए इससे ये नहीं होगा. ये जो लोग सोचते हैं कि दिमाग कम होगा, वो नहीं
मुझे
होगा। हम कहीं ज्यादा
मतलब आई नो वी आर इनटू दिस, क्योंकि हम लोग भी कर रहे हैं, डेली लैपटॉप पे काम करते हैं, डेली कंप्यूटर पे काम करते हैं, घंटों काम करते हैं, बट स्टिल मुझे कहीं कहीं लगता था, क्योंकि अभी जब हम बात करते हैं ना टूर्नामेंट्स की, तो कभी सचिन तेंदुलकर, कभी धोनी, कि ओके यू मेक योर टीम ऑनलाइन और फिर खेलो, तो मुझे लगता है फिजिकली खेलना और वहां पर ऑनलाइन टीमों को खेलना, मतलब दैट्स अ ग्रेट डिफरेंस।
तो मैं वो दोनों चीजें नहीं, आपकी
दोनों
बात सही है, दोनों होनी चाहिए।
यस
क्या होता है, बड़ा सिंपल है, और हम तो इस फील्ड के थ्योरी पर जब आप ऑनलाइन ये वो करते हैं तो आप बहुत सारी स्ट्रैटेजी की बातें कर लेते हैं जो बिना खेले हो जाती हैं।
हाँ ये बात
तो
है।
क्या है कि जैसे अभी हम बात हो गई बॉटनी की, एग्रीकल्चर की, तो देखिए एक मेजर चीज हुई थी ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन, कि हमने प्लांट्स की क्रॉस ब्रीडिंग करके तरह तरह की वैरायटी निकाली।
राइट।
अब ये वैरायटी अगर आप लैब में करके करेंगे तो आपको कई साल लग जाएंगे और
That's
बहुत
true.
बड़े बड़े खेत चाहिए होंगे। इसको आप कंप्यूटर सिमुलेशन से कर लेंगे तो आप कहीं सारे ज्यादा कर लेंगे, जो फिर बनी उसको आप खेत में उगाएंगे और उसको करेंगे,
मल्टीपल हो जाएगा। राइट।
3-4 आए उसको, जैसे आप लोग करते नहीं, कपड़ा वपड़ा सिलाने के लिए पहले उसको कागज में काटते हैं, फिर कपड़ा
डेफिनेटली। हाँ बिल्कुल
तो इसको हम कंप्यूटर वाली चीज को हम सिमुलेशन माने, वो माने, प्रैक्टिस करें और बहुत सारी चॉइसेस कर सकने का काम करें।
दैट्स ट्रू। राइट।
और लेकिन असली जो फिजिकल है वो करना, और वो हम और ज्यादा कर सकेंगे। अभी तो उस पर बात नहीं हुई है जो आप बात कर रही हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी के बाद जिसको फिजिकली चलने में दिक्कत होती है उसकी हम बना सकते, उसको एक्सोस्केलेटन कहते हैं। हम एक्सोस्केलेटन उसको पहना देते हैं तो वो ज्यादा तेज दौड़ सकता है। मैं हुसैन बोल्ट जैसा दौड़ सकता हूँ, मैं अपनी मसल से नहीं दौड़ सकता, लेकिन मैं आर्टिफिशियल मसल्स लगा के हुसैन बोल्ट से भी तेज दौड़ सकता हूँ। तो सवाल है कि आपकी मनस्थिति का, और आपने सुना होगा इसको ओपन माइंडसेट और क्लोज माइंडसेट कहते हैं। अगर आपका माइंडसेट ओपन है और हम बहुत सारी चीजें करना चाहते हैं तब तो ठीक है। और हमारे तो देखिए उदाहरण हनुमान जी हैं जिन्होंने सूर्य को ही खा लिया था। सूर्य को ही खा लिया था। तो अगर हमारे हौसले बुलंद हैं तो हम ये सब टेक्नोलॉजी लेंगे। लेकिन अगर हम खूब मंडूक हैं कि हम खुश हैं कि भैया ये कुआं हो गया, कंप्लीट हो गया, इसके बाहर कोई दुनिया है नहीं,
सर वो तो फिर आप सर्वाइव ही नहीं कर सकते ना, अगर आप खूब मंडूक बन के रहेंगे।
नहीं, आप कुएं में सर्वाइव करेंगे,
उसी कुएं में ही रहेंगे बस।
तो वो तो इसलिए कोई वो नहीं, तो ये कोई घबराने की बात नहीं है।
ठीक, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच। ठीक,
मनी जी आवाज आ रही है मेरी आपको?
म्यूट तो नहीं है, वो म्यूटेड है।
मनी जी आपने रेज हैंड कर रखा है।
हाँ, पर म्यूट भी करा हुआ साथ ही साथ, उनको अनम्यूट करवा दीजिए।
मनी सिंह आवाज आ रही है मेरे को मेरी?
हाँ, अब अनम्यूट किया उन्होंने अपना।
गुड इवनिंग सर। गुड इवनिंग सर।
हाँ
सर, मेरा ये क्वेश्चन था कि मतलब आई जस्ट वांट टू नो कि यू मस्ट हैव ऑब्जर्व्ड आल्सो ड्यूरिंग द कोविड एंड आफ्टर दैट students have lost their interest in learning and studying. So how to rejuvenate this hunger to learn in them? What can we do using this?
नहीं, वो तो देखिए ऐसा है, हंगर जो है वो हंगर से ही होती है। तो अगर आपने, जो आपके लर्नर्स हैं उनके अंदर वो हंगर है नहीं, तो फिर वो, मेरा तो इसमें सवाल ये था कौन है जो उनको चाहता है कि वो सीखें। मेरी जो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि किसी भी चीज के लिए हम अपने बताते हैं, हम बचपन से दूध पीना पसंद नहीं करते थे, दूध नहीं पीते थे, और हमारे घर में हमको दूध पिलाने के लिए उसमें बॉर्नवीटा मिला के ये करके वो करके देने की बात होती थी। मैं सोचता था कई बार कि जो बेचारा घर में गरीब है, जिसके घर में दूध मिल ही नहीं रहा है, उसको दूध मिलेगा तो लपक लपक के पी जाएगा, और हम नखरे देंगे कि नहीं बॉर्नवीटा चाहिए, ये चाहिए। तो ऐसे ही जिसको अभी ज्ञान की प्यास नहीं है, वो अज्ञानी, जैसे भी बात होती कूप मंडूक है, वो खुश है, तो उसको क्यों हम पढ़ा रहे हैं? हमें तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा। हम तो पढ़ाना ही उसको चाहेंगे जो हमारे पास आए, कहे कि भैया मैं सीखना चाहता हूँ। मैं ये कंपलसरी एजुकेशन के बिल्कुल खिलाफ हूँ। भाई जो सीखना नहीं चाहता उसको हम क्यों सिखाना चाहते हैं? ये तो वो लोग करते थे जो आपको कन्वर्ट करना चाहते थे रिलीजन से। आप हिंदू हो, आपको क्रिश्चियन बनाना चाहते थे, वो जबरदस्ती करते थे। अरे आप नहीं सीखना चाहते, खुश रहो, हमारी तरफ से आशीर्वाद तुमको, अज्ञानी हो के तुम बने रहो, और उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? और उसकी जिंदगी अच्छी कट रही है। मतलब हिंदुस्तान में, बुरा मत मानिए, ज्यादातर नेता भी तो अनपढ़ ही है ना, चल ही रहे हैं, बढ़िया चल रहे हैं। तो जिसको पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है उसको हम क्यों जबरदस्ती पढ़ा रहे हैं? अब अगर वो पढ़ना चाहता है तो हम उसको कहते हैं हाँ भाई ये तरीका है, ये है। मुझे सिद्धांततः मैं इसके खिलाफ हूँ कि जो पढ़ना नहीं चाहता उसको जबरदस्ती हम पढ़ाएं। जो पढ़ना चाहता है,
मैं भी इसी ओपिनियन को फॉलो करती हूँ, और समटाइम्स इसकी वजह से काफी फ्रस्ट्रेट भी हो जाती हूँ।
नहीं, कोई फ्रस्ट्रेट होने की बात ही नहीं है। देखिए बड़ा सिंपल है, आप कोई धर्मांतरण का काम नहीं कर रही हैं। जो नहीं पढ़ना चाहता और बड़ा खुश है वो है, और को हमसे तो ज्यादा पैसे भी बनाता है, वो हमें ताने भी सुनाता है, आप इतना पढ़ लिख के क्या कर सकते हो, आपसे ज्यादा तो हम कमा रहे हैं, तो क्यों हम उसको सिखाएं? और हम अभी आपको टुवर्ड्स द एंड बताएंगे कुछ नई नई बातें जो 99% लोग सीखना ही नहीं चाहते हैं। तो हमारा एज अ टीचर काम है, जो लोग सीखना चाहते हैं उनको सीखने का अवसर नहीं, उनको तरह तरह से सिखाएं। उसके लिए टेक्नोलॉजी भी यूज करें, ये भी करें कि उसको कोई दिक्कत है। और अगर वो सीखना नहीं चाहता है तो हम क्यों सिखाएं उसको जबरदस्ती? ठीक है।
और कोई अपने प्रश्न पूछना चाहता है?
So anyway, now that we have less time, and I'm quite happy if you have a question to start, I will talk about two important things. One which you have already touched upon is AI. So it is very important that all educators should learn about AI, because it is going to be your tool as well as your competitor. So, bada simple hai, AI will not replace you, but a person who uses AI might replace you, because the person who uses AI may turn out to be a better teacher, more effective teacher, solving some of these issues about getting children motivated, overcoming their learning difficulties, making personalized content for them, giving them personalized assessment, seeing exactly where they are, and so on and so forth. So it is very important for all educators to appreciate AI, its features, and so on, and especially the ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT is a conversational kind of a thing, and if you haven't done so far, please download ChatGPT, the free version, and keep playing around with it to see what it can do and what it can't do. And it is where you will eventually find that you can use ChatGPT for your advantage to become a better teacher. So ये दूसरी जो और इम्पोर्टेंट बात है जो मैं आप सबसे कहना चाहता हूँ वो ये है क्वांटम टेक्नोलॉजी की बात। नाउ आप लोगों से मिस हो गया होगा, पर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने प्री कोविड बजट में अनाउंस किया था 8,000 करोड़ का बजट फॉर ए नेशनल क्वांटम टेक्नोलॉजी मिशन। 1.5 साल सोने के बाद अभी फिर से उन्होंने जोर शोर से अनाउंस किया है एक नेशनल क्वांटम टेक्नोलॉजी मिशन, जिसके लिए 6,000 करोड़ रुपया उन्होंने ईयरमार्क किया है फॉर द नेक्स्ट 8 years। एंड इसके लिए यू आर ऑल इन हायर एजुकेशन, सेक्रेटरी यूजीसी ने एक चिट्ठी भेजी है सब वाइस चांसलर्स को कि आप अपने फैकल्टी को, इनको, उनको सबको तैयार करिए फॉर द नेशनल क्वांटम मिशन। एंड ऑल द quote unquote faculty development research centers in universities should get active with that। ये चिट्ठी अभी 27 जून को या 21 जून को ऐसे गई है यूजीसी के लेटर हेड से, और उसमें यही निवेदन किया गया है। अब क्या है इसमें, 2 चीजें हैं। एक ये है कि इंडिया इस बात पे जागा है कि न्यूक्लियर मिशन के बाद, स्पेस मिशन के बाद, एआई के बाद इस समय जो दुनिया में टेक्नोलॉजी रेस हो रही है वो क्वांटम टेक्नोलॉजीज की रेस है। आप में से कुछ लोग फिजिक्स के टीचर्स होंगे तो आपको पता है कि क्वांटम फिजिक्स अभी तक फिजिक्स वाले लोग करते थे, लेकिन इसके ये जो क्वांटम मिशन है इसके उन्होंने 4 अंग बनाए हुए हैं। ऐसे तो क्वांटम हर जगह है, जो लोग क्वांटम वाले हैं, फिजिक्स वाले, वो जानते हैं कि क्वांटम फाइनली हर सूक्ष्म चीज जो हमारी है वो क्वांटम फिजिक्स पे चलती है। पर जो नेशनल क्वांटम मिशन में 4 बनाए गए हैं स्तंभ, उनमें पहला है क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग। तो क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग बेसिकली ये है कि कंप्यूटर जो हैं वो तेज होते जा रहे हैं। अभी एआई की बात हो रही है, एआई के बाद क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग की बात होगी, और उस बीच में जैसे एआई के साथ मशीन लर्निंग वर्ड आता है, ऐसा क्वांटम मशीन लर्निंग होएगा, जहाँ के हम एआई और क्वांटम के बीच का हिस्सा जाएंगे। तो एक ये है स्तंभ। दूसरा है क्वांटम कम्युनिकेशन। तो जैसे हमारा इंटरनेट है, इंटरनेट में इस समय एक मेजर इशू उठता है सिक्योरिटी का। हम लोगों ने ब्लॉकचेन की भी बात करी सिक्योरिटी के लिए, तो क्वांटम इंटरनेट में उम्मीद है कि सिक्योरिटी ज्यादा होगी। तो दूसरा स्तंभ जो है क्वांटम कम्युनिकेशन है, उसमें फिर क्वांटम सिक्योरिटी, क्वांटम की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, ये सब आता है। तीसरा आता है क्वांटम सेंसर्स एंड मेट्रोलॉजी। तो क्वांटम सेंसर्स में क्या है कि जैसे आपने सुना होगा आईओटी कहलाता है, जो इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स है, इसमें तरह तरह के सेंसर होते हैं जिसको हम करते हैं। आपने वैसे देखा होगा घरों में भी आजकल सेंसर है कि आप लगा दें लाइट, तो अगर अंधेरा होगा तो लाइट जलेगी, अंधेरा नहीं होगा तो लाइट नहीं जलेगी, क्योंकि उन्होंने एक सेंसर लगाया हुआ है जो कि देखता है कितनी लाइट है। तो ऐसे ही जब ग्रेविटी सेंसर्स होते हैं तो बहुत सारा हम अंडरग्राउंड देख लेते हैं। आज हमको अंडरग्राउंड देखने के लिए खुदाई करनी पड़ती है, लेकिन क्वांटम सेंसर्स हो जाएंगे तो हमें खुदाई करने की जरूरत नहीं होगी, हम नीचे से ही सेंसर्स की वजह से देख सकते हैं। और वही उनके साथ मेट्रोलॉजी की बात आती है, बहुत जगह काम आता है। एटॉमिक क्लॉक्स जो है वो सब क्वांटम सेंसर्स और इस पर डिपेंडेंट है। और चौथा जो है सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट, उसको कहते हैं क्वांटम मटेरियल्स और डिवाइसेस। ऐसे तो हर मटेरियल क्वांटम मटेरियल है, उसमें कोई वो नहीं है, कोई भी चीज ऐसी नहीं है जिसके अंदर क्वांटम फिजिक्स नहीं लगती हो। आपका सेमीकंडक्टर, ट्रांजिस्टर, जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, कंप्यूटर, ये वो स्क्रीन सब है। लेकिन क्वांटम मटेरियल्स ये उनको कह रहे हैं जिसमें क्वांटम चीजें एम्फेसाइज्ड हैं। तो हाई ऑर्डर को रिलेशंस होते हैं, और स्पेशली जो एक छोटे पार्टिकल्स की फीचर होती है उसको स्पिन कहते हैं। एक इंट्रिंसिक मैग्नेटिक मोमेंट उनमें होता है जिसको वो लोग स्पिन कहते हैं। तो जैसे हम नॉर्मल जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइसेस देखते हैं उसको इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइस इसलिए कहते हैं क्योंकि वो उसके इलेक्ट्रॉन के चार्ज की वजह से चलती है, जैसे वैक्यूम ट्यूब, ट्रांजिस्टर, डायोड, ये वो ये सब जो स्पिन की वजह से चलती हैं उसको हम स्पिनट्रॉनिक्स कहते हैं। और बहुत सारी ऐसी डिवाइसेस मेडिकल में यूज होती हैं। आपने अस्पतालों में देखा होगा एमआरआई होता है, पीईटी होता है, पॉजिट्रॉन एमिशन टोमोग्राफी, ये होता है। तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं ये सब क्वांटम डिवाइसेस हैं। तो इस समय जो सबसे बड़ा थ्रस्ट है वो इस चीज के लिए है, और सेक्रेटरी यूजीसी ने चिट्ठी में कहा है सब यूनिवर्सिटीज को कि अप्लाई करें। जो उस चिट्ठी में नहीं कहा है और जो मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूं वो ये है कि उन्होंने ये सारी चीजें फिजिक्स वालों की बपौती बना दी है, लेकिन क्वांटम बायोलॉजी एक बड़ा भारी एरिया है। इन लोगों ने यहाँ कहीं नहीं बताया कि फोटोसिंथेसिस क्वांटम फेनोमेनन है। हम जो खुशबू सूंघते हैं इत्र की, परफ्यूम की, शनेल नंबर 5 की, ये सब क्वांटम फेनोमेना है। और क्वांटम बायोलॉजी एक बड़ा भारी एरिया निकल के तैयार हो रहा है। अब चूंकि इस पे इन लोगों ने सब हाईजैक कर लिया है फिजिक्स वालों ने, हम भी फिजिक्स वाले ही है, लेकिन बायोलॉजी में बहुत बड़ा स्कोप इसका है। जितना डार्विन की थ्योरी एवोल्यूशन की आप सुनते हैं, एवोल्यूशन में वो कहते हैं जीन म्यूटेट कर गए। जीन म्यूटेट कैसे करे? क्वांटम टनलिंग की वजह से करे। तो इसलिए मेरे हिसाब से सब यूनिवर्सिटीज के अंदर एक ऐसा अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम जो कि अक्रॉस फील्ड्स, अक्रॉस डिसिप्लिन उनको इन चीजों के बारे में बताए, वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट और जरूरी है। और ये यूजीसी के डायरेक्शन से ही निकल रहा है, ये मैं अपने मन की राय नहीं दे रहा हूँ, ये मैं आपको सिर्फ बता रहा हूँ कि ये सर्कुलर आ चुका है। और जैसा हर फील्ड में होता है, इसको IISc बैंगलोर, TIFR, IITO, ये लोग सब हड़प लेना चाहते हैं। इनका सारा गेम है कि 6,000 करोड़ हम ही हड़प लें। मेरा कहना है यूनिवर्सिटीज वालों, भैया तुम भी थोड़ा उसमें से सपोर्ट लो। जब वो लोग पैसे दे रहे हैं तो उस पैसे को लेके आप अपने प्रोग्राम वगैरह क्यों नहीं बनाते हैं, आगे क्यों नहीं बढ़ते हैं। और जो सबसे बड़ी चीज है, ये ग्लोबल इनिशिएटिव है। जो हम ये कह रहे हैं, ये एक्चुअली ऊंट के मुंह में जीरा है। जब आप देखेंगे वर्ल्ड स्पेंडिंग कितना हो रहा है क्वांटम पे। तो मैं यहाँ पे छोड़ देता हूँ। अब अगर कुछ और क्वेश्चन, कमेंट, ऑब्जर्वेशन है तो उनको कर लेते हैं, फिर हम लोग लपेट लेते हैं। मेरे ख्याल से किसी के मन में 2-4 सवाल और आ गए होंगे तो उनको रिस्पॉन्ड कर लेंगे।
किसी के कोई सवाल हो तो पूछ सकते हैं, रेज हैंड कर सकते हैं।
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you have enlightened on various issues, sir, and changed our perspective.
Thank you.
I am from psychology, and how can I use this quantum thing in psychology, sir?
Oh, very good. So now, as you know, psychology has changed from the time of Freud, Adler, Jung to today using MRI and fMRI for seeing what is happening, where are these spots lighting up in the brain, various parts. So exactly that is where, both in terms of the science of learning, it is being used, in terms of other behavioral, it is being used, and fMRI is being used for the observation part, and quantum is being used for understanding how the brain is working. So much of these things are talking about in terms of, so in fact, many people believe that the brain itself is something like a quantum computer or a quantum machine. So explore that thing. Look at this thing, the brain as a quantum devices. People are talking of consciousness in terms of quantum. There's a very famous physics Nobel Prize winner called Roger Penrose. He, in collaboration with an anesthesiologist, actually created a whole theory of quantum consciousness and so on and so forth. So ordinary people, when they say this, people make fun. But Roger Penrose got a Nobel Prize in physics. So people think that his work is somewhat serious. They had even identified which part of the brain all this happens in and so on and so forth. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
कोई और सवाल हो तो अभी 5 मिनट का समय हो रहा है, अभी पूछ सकते हैं। चलिए सर, अभी वैसे समय भी हो गया।
ठीक है।
शायद किसी का भी जिज्ञासा नहीं है तो
नहीं, वही तो, कोई बात नहीं, कभी बाद में आएगी। नहीं, ये कोई बोल रही है, कुछ बोलना चाहती है सर? नहीं,
शायद नहीं है सर।
ओके,
1 मिनट में मैसेज भी देख ले।
हेलो सर, माय नेम इज चेतन।
हाँ, बोलिए चेतन।
Sir, am I audible? My name is Chetan.
Yes, yes.
Sir, actually, I just want your comment on this AI. Don't you think that AI seems to be like working as crash courses for the people who do not have deep desire to go deeper into the studies? Like, for instance, in one of the sessions, I saw that you just upload a research paper in an AI software, and that software will provide you the summary of the entire paper. So don't you think that these kind of initiatives would taking away the academic rigor from the researchers. And I do think that we cannot completely depend upon the machines and technology for deep understanding of things, because if you do not know the nuances of any topic, and that can only be possible by having a deep knowledge, or when you go through this entirely, then it will be possible. But I see that people are very eagerly appreciating this AI thing, but I really afraid that it is going to hamper the research very badly in futures, because the researchers would be completely depending upon the summaries. They would not go through the entire papers, entire books. Okay, and depending upon this, they would be coming up with their own theories, own ideas. So what is your comment on this?
नहीं, आपने इसका खुद ही जवाब दे दिया है. You see, बहुत पहले फ्रांसिस बेकन ने लिखा है, आप कोट देख लीजिएगा, लिखा है some books are meant to be chewed and digested, some books are meant to be swallowed. तो आपने एकदम सही कहा है. जिस चीज के मुझे डिटेल में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है लेकिन मैं समरी जानना चाहता हूँ, वो मैं एआई से समरी ले लूंगा. जिसको मैं डिटेल में जानना चाहता हूँ, मैं खुद पढ़ूंगा, समझूंगा, क्रिटिकली एनालाइज करूंगा. तो एकेडमी का काम अच्छा हो जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी तो पेपर इतने सारे आ रहे हैं. हर पेपर को पढ़ने में अगर मुझे उतना ही टाइम लगेगा तो मुश्किल होगी. तो मैंने कहा समरी बता दे. अगर समरी में पता चला कि वो है ही बकवास, अनइंटरेस्टिंग है, तो मैं उस पर टाइम नहीं खराब करूंगा. तो ये बुरी चीज नहीं है. अगर मैं उसी को फाइनल समझता हूँ, तो जो हरामखोर एकेडमिक है वो तो बिना पढ़ाई करेगा, उसकी बात छोड़ दीजिए ना. लेकिन जो पढ़ना चाहता है उसको ये पता चल जाएगा कि किस चीज पे ध्यान लगा के पढ़ो, किस चीज को सीरियसली पढ़ो, और किस चीज को सिर्फ अपना समरी आपको पता चल गई उसके बाद छोड़ दो. तो ये तो बहुत अच्छी मदद कर रहा है, किसी तरीके से बुराई नहीं है. अब जो खुद करेगा ही नहीं उसकी बात आप छोड़ दीजिए ना. वो तो वैसा ही है जो कि नकल करके हो जाता है, या आप इसी में कर लीजिए. किसी चीज को याद कर लिया मैंने और किसी चीज को समझा, उसमें अंतर होता है. तो कुछ लोग सिर्फ याद कर लेते हैं, वो कर लेते हैं. वो आपको बहुत लोग मिलेंगे, वो खासकर इंक्लूडिंग साइंस फील्ड में, वो डेफिनेशन बोल देंगे, फुल फॉर्म बोल देंगे. बट फुल फॉर्म बोलने के माने ये नहीं कि उनको आता है कि वो क्या चीज है. RAM, रैंडम एक्सेस मेमोरी कह दिया, पर आया कि नहीं कि क्या है तो नहीं पता चलता ना. तो आपकी डेप्थ ऑफ एकेडमिक रिगर हमेशा रहेगी और लोग उसको पहचानेंगे. और जो ये करता रहता है, जैसे जर्नलिस्ट लोग हैं वो अपना करता रहेंगे. समरी उनका काम चल गया, भाई उन्होंने हेडलाइन बना दी, वो कर दिया. चैट जीपीटी आपको बता देगा कैसा हेडलाइन बना दो इसकी, वो हेडलाइन बना देगा. तो इससे कोई वो नहीं है, मतलब
सर समाप्त.
थैंक यू सर.
ओके
सर, अब समय भी हो गया. अब
विनय सर कुछ पूछना चाह रहे हैं इस समय.
हाँ बताइए.
विनय सर बोलना चाह रहे हो? विनय सर
अनम्यूट करें. हाँ यस सर, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
मैं विनय मिश्रा, म्यूजिक डिपार्टमेंट लक्ष्मीबाई कॉलेज से बोल रहा हूँ.
हाँ.
बहुत ही इनोवेटिव और बहुत ही सीखने को मिला आपके वक्तव्य से. मैं बस एक चीज जानना चाहता हूँ कि म्यूजिक और फाइन आर्ट्स को एआई कैसे इफेक्ट करेगा, और हेल्प तो करेगा क्योंकि मैंने काफी चैट जीपीटी पे काफी सर्च किया म्यूजिक वगैरह, तो काफी कुछ नॉलेज है उसके पास. कुछ रेयर जो रागाज हैं उनके बारे में उतना नहीं क्लियर है वो, लेकिन इफेक्ट कैसे करेगा इस फील्ड को आगे आने वाले के समय में?
नहीं देखिए, बेसिकली जो करेगा, जो बात हमने करी थी, बहुत सारी चीज ट्रायल करके आपको दे देगा.
जी,
फिर आप तय कर लें किसमें. जैसे हम क्या कहते हैं, म्यूजिक और नॉइज में क्या अंतर है. नॉइज बहुत सारे साउंड है, म्यूजिक वो है जो अपीलिंग है और जो आर्टिस्ट को समझ में आता है, जिसने क्यूरेट किया. तो एआई या और भी कोई टेक्नोलॉजी आपको ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें करके दे देगा. तो पुराने जो भी, भाई कुल तो बेसिकली ट्यून्स और वो लिमिटेड होती हैं, लेकिन उनको जब हम फ्यूजन करते हैं तरह तरह का, उसमें नई चीजें निकलती हैं. तो वो आपको करके देगा. फिर जो आपको उसमें अच्छे लगेंगे वो आप उनको अप्रूव करेंगे. इवेंचुअली ह्यूमन, वही चीज हर क्रिएटिव काम में वही होगा. वो कुछ वो एक तरीके का, जैसे आप किसी काम में देखते ना, अप्रेंटिस जो होता है, अप्रेंटिस कुछ बना देता है, लेकिन उस्ताद उसमें से कहता है भाई साहब ये तो ठीक है लेकिन ये ठीक नहीं है।
हाँ,
तो वो जो अप्रेंटिस और उस्ताद, तो हम कहते हैं कि एआई जो है एक तरह से आपको बहुत अच्छा अप्रेंटिस मिल रहा है।
जी।
जो 24 घंटे काम करता है, आप सो भी रहे हो तो अप्रेंटिस काम कर रहा है, ये कर रहा है, वो कर रहा है। तो लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि एआई को अच्छा अप्रेंटिस या आजकल मॉडर्न मैनेजमेंट में इंटर्न कहते हैं, तो इंटर्न या अप्रेंटिस की तरह से उसको यूज करिए और फिर आप अपने तो आपको जैसे एक अच्छे उस्ताद को, हम तो रिसर्च में रहे हैं, एक प्रोफेसर के अगर रिसर्च स्टूडेंट अच्छे होते हैं तो प्रोफेसर का नाम और बढ़ जाता है।
जी।
ऐसे ही अगर आपका एआई ये मदद कर रहा है तो आपका काम और अच्छा हो जाएगा।
बिल्कुल। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
सर अंतिम सवाल मनी मैम का ले लेते हैं। मनी मैम भी कुछ पूछना चाह रहे थे। मनी मैम सुन पा रहे हैं?
जी सर, थैंक यू सर। सर मेरा भी क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सिमिलर ही था कि बिकॉज आई टीच टू द अंडर ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स environmental science as a compulsory course. And so that's why I just wanted to have some suggestions from you that how can I use AI to make it more interesting and more understandable to our students, especially undergraduate students, because PG and research students are quite sincere and they are just from the one stream only. But
they
are from all streams.
But see the point is एनवायरमेंटल साइंस का मेन जो फीचर है वो ये है कि इट इज अ कॉम्प्लेक्स साइंस वेयर वेरियस थिंग्स आर कनेक्टेड। सो द होल आइडिया ऑफ एन इकोसिस्टम इज देयर आर मेनी थिंग्स एंड एक भी चीज आप बदलते हैं तो दूसरे पे असर होता है। सो एआई ऐसे कामों के लिए बहुत मदद करता है और खासकर जब आप उसको खासकर सस्टेनेबिलिटी की या इसकी किसी चीज की बात करते हैं तो आप पूछ सकते हैं कि भैया जैसे प्रेडेटर प्रे पॉपुलेशन है तो आप वो पूछ सकते हैं भाई अगर अच्छा प्रेडेटर ने ज्यादा खा लिया प्रे को तो क्या हो जाएगा, अगर 3 स्पीशीज हैं जो ऐसे इंटरैक्टिव सिस्टम है तो क्या हो जाएगा, वेदर चेंज है तो क्या, तो बहुत सारी चीजें वो आपको बता देगा। दूसरा क्या होता है कि इम्पोर्टेंट चीज आज के एआई को यूज करने में प्रॉम्प्ट इंजीनियरिंग, कि जब उसने कोई जवाब दिया तो आप उससे अगला क्वेश्चन पूछें। जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज है चैट जीपीटी की, वो क्वेश्चन पूछना से ज्यादा है फॉलो अप क्वेश्चन क्या पूछे। आपने कुछ पूछा उसने जवाब दिया, फिर आपको और पूछना होता है। जैसे आप किसी एक्सपर्ट के साथ करते हैं, अगर आपको एक्सपर्ट मिल जाए आधे घंटे के लिए तो आप उनसे सवाल पे सवाल पूछेंगे ना। आप ये थोड़ी उन्होंने एक सवाल पूछा जवाब तो हाँ लेकिन फिर ऐसे क्या होगा, ऐसे क्या होगा। तो आपके लिए चैट जीपीटी एक तरीके का एक्सपर्ट है जिससे, और इसको प्रॉम्प्ट इंजीनियरिंग कहते हैं। और जैसे आप प्रॉम्प्ट उससे पूछते जाएंगे तो आपको अच्छा जवाब मिल पाएगा। उसके पहले जवाब को ही आप आखिरी जवाब मान लेंगे तो काम पूरा नहीं होगा।
ओके सर, थैंक यू सो मच सर।
विनय सर आप कुछ और पूछना चाह रहे थे? चलिए सर।
पा रहा हूँ। हाँ नहीं मेरा हो गया था, मैंने सर से अच्छा जवाब दिया सर ने।
Sir, if you permit, I have one more query, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, you have nicely enlightened us on various issues, and you are talking about AR and VR. So,
yes.
How to bring them into our practice? Any platform you suggest?
No. See, there are enough platforms. The only problem today with AR, VR is it is rather expensive. And also for the VR platform, it has to be for each individual. There is no simple way in terms of distributing. Like, your PowerPoint you can show to 100 people at the same time. For VR, each person has to have that set and go through that experience. And you have to have a set. So today VR experience is a little expensive. And therefore people use it only for high-end medical topics or some such thing where people can afford all that investment. VR is AR is a little less costly. That can be done in a wider way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आभार सर आपका। पंत सर ने अपने प्रभावी उद्बोधन से हम सबको मंत्रमुग्ध कर दिया। विषय की गहरी समझ और सरल भाषा में उनके प्रस्तुतिकरण से विषय की गहनता को हम सब समझ सके। मैं औपचारिक रूप से पंत सर का धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं। उन्होंने अपने व्यस्ततम समय में से समय निकालकर संकाय संवर्धन कार्यक्रम के साथियों और हम सबको अपने वक्तव्य से लाभान्वित किया। अतः प्रोफेसर MM पंत सर का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आभार सर। साथ ही मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूं आप सभी साथियों का भी जिन्होंने धैर्य के साथ विषय को आत्मसात किया। अब मैं अगले सत्र के मंच संचालन के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं प्रचेता मैम को। मैम, आपका स्वागत है। प्रचेता मैम।
Thank you, Dr. Sumit. Thank you, Dr. MM Pant. And right. Welcome all of you once again. This is the ending day. This is the concluding day. And we are moving slowly towards the conclusion of the FDP. Let's wait for 2 minutes and I'll just check if Principal Ma'am has joined. I would request the participants to wait for a few moments. Thank you. And I hope there would be more people coming forward for the observation part today, for your observation and for your feedback. Good afternoon, sir.
Prashant is there. Ask him to online.
Yes, sir. Sir, Professor Kavita Sharma has also joined. So, would you like to invite and welcome her first?
You can start it.
Okay, sir.
Kavita Sharma joined.
Yes, sir.
Has she joined?
Yes, sir. She has joined. She has
Okay,
joined.
then you can start your formal program.
Namaskar.
It was to start. Achha, namaskar, namaskar. Thank you for responding to a very, very
That's my pleasure.
short notice. It is, I always said that in the crisis, friends help. So she said that, okay, I'll get ready and I'm there. And she is well prepared for the AI and other things. She has lectured to our participant on this internationalization AI and aspects of it. Well, who is Prachita? You are conducting the program?
Yes, sir. I'm going to start.
So you can start.
Okay,
You were to start at 4:15, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We still have 3 minutes to go, but since ma'am has joined us and that too at a such short notice, so we are very thankful to Professor Kavita Sharma, and we're absolutely pleased and honored to have you on our program. And ma'am, we will briefly introduce you. I will briefly introduce you, and later on at your designated slot, Dr. Prashant will be introducing you properly. But for the participants who have joined us as of now, she is an accomplished academician, Dr. Kavita A. Sharma, and she has been an active contributor to the cause of higher education through her teaching, publications, and the institutions she has been associated with. In fact, she had started teaching in 1971 in Delhi University's Hindu College, and she also became its principal in 1998 and served there till 2008, where she took up another challenging assignment as director of India International Center, New Delhi. She has published a number of books, including Internationalization of Education, 60 Years of University Grants Commission. There are more actually. Actually, there's so many, of them. So for an example, her research papers are there on a wide range of topics, including higher education, language, immigration, and identity, culture, and women. She has a PhD degree. She holds a PhD degree in English from the University of Delhi and an LLM degree as well from the University of British Columbia, Canada. She has been a Fulbright Fellow. She was conferred the Indira Gandhi Sadbhavna Award by the National Integration and Economic Council in 2005. We welcome you, ma'am, to be with us today once again. And please stay with us in this program, and we will look forward to your valedictory address at your designated slot today. We will wait for a few moments now in order for our principal ma'am to join.
I have already joined, Prachita.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry, I did not see that. I apologize.
Welcome you, Kavita ma'am. Namaskar.
How are you?
I am good, ma'am. Happy to see you here.
Yes, I'm meeting.
Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise. Yeah. So, Namaskar, Professor Sharma. Sharma sir.
Hi, namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
And Professor R.C. Sharma ji also. Professor Reshma. I'm very sorry I couldn't be here for the last 6 days. So I just initiated this FDP, and then my team took over and I got so busy in other things. I'm very sorry for that. And still I am in Uber. Traveling. Yeah.
All right. Ma'am, may I have the pleasure of introducing you to the audience today?
Well,
all right. So I will introduce our principal, the principal of Lakshmibai College. She is also the program director of this FDP, and she is also the innovator of the community outreach program. I will introduce her briefly to all of you. She has over 3 decades of teaching experience. She has been carrying out academic, administrative, infrastructural, institutional, and social works since 2005. She has publications in national and international journals and books. She has been recipient of various awards at national and international level. For an example, I would like to read out a few awards for all of you. She has received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam National Dedication Award in the field of higher education 2022. She has received Literary Excellence Award 2020, which is the 12th Asian Literature Festival. She has received Rashtra Bhasha Gaurav Manav Samman 2018 by Parliamentary Hindi Committee. She has been awarded with Best Managed Campus Award 2017 by International Association of Educators for World Peace, affiliated to UN, at 38th World Management Congress, which is a moment of pride for all of us. She has received recognition as she was recognized as Peace Ambassador by IWPG South Korea. She has been awarded with Lifetime Achievement Award by WAGE for outstanding contribution in the area of educational planning and administration besides gender development. She has been awarded with Nari Shakti Award 2017 in higher education category. She has been awarded National Achievers Award for excellence in instructional leadership by IIRMA and new initiatives. And she is well known for her contributions, for her tremendous efforts in making our campus clean and green, and for all her administrative duties which she has been doing for a long period of time. And she is also our guide and one of our driving forces behind the initiation of this FDP. Ma'am, I formally welcome you once again in this FDP.
The program, we can go ahead with Dr. Vasla to welcome the chief guest.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as it's the last day of this FDP, 1 week FDP, and we are here for the valedictory session. I'm happy to welcome the chief guest of this session, Professor Kavita Sharma, and I'm also feeling, a little relaxed as I'm not able to discuss with you about this topic. Professor Sharma is here, and Professor Sharma, she represents the community of principals also, because she started her career with, I think, as a principal of Hindu College, and she has been the Vice Chancellor of South Asian University, and she's a, she can give you the true message of multidisciplinarity, and she has all the, all the aspects of education she has covered in her life, and still she is so active, and I would have been happy to welcome her in my college physically, offline, though she has visited our college. I think 2-3 years back we had an international conference, and that time Professor Sharma visited our college. That program was in Gagi Hall, and today we are meeting online. So I'm happy to welcome you, ma'am. And I'm really happy to welcome Professor G.T. Sharma also, though he is not a guest here. He is the spirit of this, the spirit behind this FTP. And actually, he has been the director and, curator and the inspiration of this program. So I'm happy to welcome you, sir. And Professor R.C. Sharma, also he has been here with us today, and he has been with us, for so long, and we have found him so enthusiastic and so ready to get involved in such things that I'm really happy to welcome him here. Dr. Reshma Watts and other people who are here, though I don't know them personally, I don't have, by chance I couldn't have any interaction, but I'm happy to welcome them also. And I'm happy to welcome all the participants in this program, and mostly the participants are from my own college, and I have been talking to them, every now and then, off and on. So I'm not new to them, but there are some participants from other universities, colleges from different parts of this country. So I welcome them also to this valedictory session of the FDP Education 4.0, making the teachers future ready. And as we know, this topic has been so important. Only 2 days back, our Prime Minister, when he visited our university for the closing ceremony of centenary celebrations, he also talked about this Education 4.0, because education has to go in hand with the development and the progress of the the world, the industry. So making the teachers future ready is a very important task that has been assigned to the HEIs. As we know that we have to think beyond the current times, and we have to make the teachers also to be so trained that they are ready for any kind of disruption if it happens, or making future ready and every time ready for anything. So this kind of teachers we need now, because the challenge is so high, it's so fast, the pace is so fast that it is really difficult to catch up with the changing trends of this world. So we have already, I am sure that our participants have been enlightened on such topics like AI and multidisciplinarity in the background of NEP and all. And so this is the last session. So I welcome you all once again to this session. And such senior academicians are there with us. They will guide you more. Thank you. Welcome you once again.
You can also welcome Dr. Bakshi. He's going
Oh, sorry. I'm very sorry. Professor Bakshi is also there. Yeah.
So I at 4:30, I think.
Yes, sir. I missed him.
Jaswinder also.
Yeah. Professor Jaswinder Singh is also there. Okay. So
I will join soon.
I would. Sorry, sir.
They are going to join soon because Bakshi is informed that he's joining 4:30.
Okay. So I would also like to welcome Professor A.K. Bakshi and Professor Jaswinder Singh. And as we know, Professor Jaswinder Singh is the, principal of Khalsa College, and not only principal of Khalsa College, but he is the president of our Principals Association also. So he is also very senior academician, and he has been guiding us always. So welcome you, Professor Jaswinder Singh, and also Professor A.K. Bakshi. We are familiar with Dr. A.K. Bakshi, Professor A.K. Bakshi also, and he has also been always guiding and motivating us in such ventures. And so I welcome them once again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words, which has actually boosted our inspiration for joining, for conducting this FDP.
Rajita, now you can request Dr. Jaswinder Singh to make few observations, and followed by that, Dr. R.K. Sharma will be invited to make observations.
Yes, I will be doing that. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Pratyush Vatslaji, the esteemed principal of Lakshmi College. Our earlier colleague, Professor Kavita Sharma, she is here. We are so proud that she has joined today. She has been, in the forefront of, the many reforms which we initiated during during the last so many years together, and then she, did her stint at the this South Asian University. And also, she has been, during this period when she was away from University of Delhi, she has been coordinating with many of us here and there. Professor Vatsala, Professor Bakshi, who is the chairman of our center, and also, he is he was a professor in the University of Delhi, and also, a leading teacher trainer in a certain sense when the new technology was adopted at various levels. Especially, our group contributed significantly when the national education policy was being formulated, because we were doing this kind of work, writing the e-content, preparing the teachers for the classroom handling, and also before that we had already developed the MOOCs and contributed in various other forms, which I don't want to give in detail here because it will consume too much of time. And Professor Vatsala, who has been in the forefront when the national education policy was being discussed in the University of Delhi, and she has been organizing the talks of the University of Delhi in either in Lakshmibai College or in different other fora, wherever it was appropriate to discuss the difficulties that we will encounter in the years to come. I am also grateful to all the coordinators, my colleague, especially Professor Vimal and Professor Neetaji in Lakshmibai College, and all those colleagues who have joined from the different parts of our country, and the resource persons especially who have, deliberated and who have in fact delivered their talks, especially the Higher Education 4.0. Pratyushi has already mentioned about the Prime Minister when he came 2 days ago to the University of Delhi, and he mentioned, that education needs to update regularly. So that is why perhaps the term Higher Education 4.0 by the Prime Minister was used. So the education has to sync with the growing needs of our society, of the challenges that we face, and also, the various challenges that our students encounter. We know that our higher education system, till very recently, till let us say a decade ago, it was primarily concentrated on delivering. It was teacher-centric, and it was basically awarding the degrees to the students. When the service sector came to the Indian scenario, and also the requirements of the corporate sector differed from what we were teaching. The challenges were there, and I think in the University of Delhi, Professor Deepak Nair started this process of reforming our syllabi, and the process is on. Professor Dinesh Singh continued, and now the Professor Yogesh Singh has also, with the equal vehemence, with equal emphasis, he is trying to design our courses, helping the teaching community so that we can meet the challenges which are posed before us and making us relevant or keeping us relevant in the system. So in that sense, the higher education plays a very, very critical role. Now, we have been doing a little bit of work in updating the content, especially in the subjects which were allotted to us. And when we developed the 4-quadrant approach, it was adopted by the University Grants Commission, and it has certain flexible features, which I am sure Professor Bakshi, if he has delivered the talk earlier, he might have shared with you that the kind of technology that we adopted is so flexible that it can be shared with the students and the teachers at ease, and also it has the features which are very flexible. So therefore, it is with this intention that we started engaging the teachers in a very, very constructive way. And many of their lectures, the material were published in their own name. which is available on the UGC website through the InflipNet. And also, after that, when we started developing the MOOCs, we were given a different, challenge, and that was how to make this content available to the teachers and the students in different corners of the country. So in this again, it was the effort of the teachers, not only of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center at Khalsa College, but it was the coordinated effort of various colleagues which were involved in it. And now we have a very large group with which we interact, and also we are enlarging this so that we can share our experience with them. So in this sense, while we are training the teachers in the use of the ICT, and also making available to them or training them in such a way that they can use these tools at ease the way they want. But I think what is important is that the pedagogy of teaching, learning has to undergo still a large change, because the classroom's teaching is still the norm, even though the skill courses and the value addition courses have been introduced. And in the current revision of syllabus in University of Delhi, we have tried to, put in, we have tried to adopt the continuous process of evaluation. But I think the methods of assessment still need a large revision. We were during the last 2 weeks, me and Professor Weber were in England, and we have tried to understand, how they are, assessing their students, how, what kind of assessment.
Sir, you are not audible. Sir,
I am not audible.
No, Pracheta,
Sir,
he is very much audible.
Very much audible.
Okay, so
he is audible. He is audible.
Ma'am, kindly check your,
okay.
He's audible. I am able to hear him.
Yeah. Okay. I got it. Yeah.
In this, during the last 2 weeks, we had requested the universities abroad that how are they, assessing their students, and also, how their students are employed in the corporate sector. So India is opening up in a very big way, and the education has to transform in a very, very radical way, in the sense that it is not only the pedagogy, but I think it is the entire exercise of assessing the students also and making them future ready. It is quite possible, many of the jobs which will be available after, let us say, 10 years, we are not even aware of them. So therefore, the students need to be prepared to face those challenges. Nobody thought that artificial intelligence or such methodologies will come out so soon, even though people were talking about it, but we were not aware of this. So, but the chat GPT or the use of, the artificial intelligence also has to be used in such a way that the human mind and the research which is actually available, that should form the basis of this. So I will not go beyond this, but I'm sure I want to congratulate my colleague, Professor Pratyush Vatslaji, for starting a course on, this FDP on higher education 4.0, because this is what we have to prepare ourselves. And I'm sure, the teaching commitment in India is not less. The only thing is that we have to change our styles. We have to, make the teacher and the student relationship much more smoother than what it is today. And also, help the students in giving them a lot of confidence that yes, they are relevant. It is not that if they are joining the graduation or the post-graduation, they will not be employed. This era, this concept of uncertainty has to go from the system of education, and that would be possible only if we develop our courses, design our courses in such a way which are required by the society, which are the needs of the society, and they tune up with the requirement of the different employers. So in this sense, I'm sure the teachers might have benefited. On I, on behalf of Khalsa College and on behalf of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, which is the center allotted to us by the Ministry of Education, would like to place on record our gratitude and thanks for all the coordinators of the two institutions, of all the institutions which are here, and also the participants especially. And I would request them to give their feedback to us. We have our own Telegraph group. We would request you to register on that and be a part of this exercise. And also, we will help you designing your own teaching kits so that you are much more comfortable when you face large classes or when you face even the shorter classes, but it becomes much more manageable. I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Kavita ji, Professor Bakshi, and all others who have joined today for this program. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, we are the ones who are grateful to you for your valuable presence today, for taking out your time today. And we will definitely keep in mind your suggestions regarding the feedback and all the constructive structures which you have presented before us in order to make teaching kits for the teachers, as well. All right. Thank you, sir, once again. And now I will move on and I will invite Dr. R.C. Sharma, sir, who has been taking care of all our technological problems and who has been guiding us with all of whatever knowledge he has regarding logistics and etc. So, sir, I formally welcome you once again today in today's session, and I will introduce sir for all of you once again. Sir has been currently working at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Delhi as an Associate Professor of Instructional Design. He has worked also at Wasan Open University, Penang, Malaysia as an Associate Professor of Educational Technology and Learning Resources. He has been also previously, he has worked as a visiting professor at the University of Fiji and at the Commonwealth of Learning, which is COL, as Director of the Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, which is CEMCA, New Delhi. Between July 2009 to June 2011, he has also served as the Director of Distance Education, Institute of Distance and Continuing Education, University of Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana, which is South America. He has served the Indira Gandhi National Open University, India from 1996 till 2014 as Regional Director of 6 regional centers and Deputy Director for its Defense Unit. He has taught information technology, educational research and statistics, educational measurement and evaluation, psychodynamics of mental health courses for the B.Ed and M.Ed programs. He has conducted training programs for the in and pre-service teachers on the use of multimedia in teaching and instruction. I welcome you, sir, to deliver your talk today on the use of technology.
Thank you, Pracheta. This echo is coming from...
In case you have joined from 2 devices, that could be the reason. Otherwise,
I think somebody is using 2 devices. Kindly
yes, sir.
Put one on
it happens because of that.
Kindly mute one of the devices.
So, dear friends, as Professor Pant and other speakers, they have already spoken about many things. And as we all know that we are living in a time of unprecedented technological advancements. And these developments, they have significantly transformed our economic and social lives. So technology has played a pivotal role in shaping our world from, if we see, from the first industrial revolution with the introduction of steam engine to the fourth industrial revolution driven by artificial intelligence. The introduction of generative AI, I think we did one experiment on generating some of the images and text using these tools. They are a wonder of modern technology and have opened up new possibilities in education. This generative AI, powered by sophisticated algorithms and machine learning techniques, has the potential of revolutionizing the way we teach and learn. So, because it can create intelligent systems capable of generating content, engaging students, providing personalized learning experiences. And this technology can enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of education by making this impact on individual student needs and preferences. So, in this case, the teachers, they stand to benefit tremendously from these technological advancements, and generative AI can automate repetitive tasks such as grading assignments, allowing teachers to focus more on providing personalized guidance and mentorship to students. It can also assist in curriculum development by analyzing vast amount of educational data and providing valuable insights into student performance and learning patterns. Moreover, this generative AI can offer real-time feedback, helping students identify areas of improvement and allowing teachers to intervene promptly. So, what we need is that this human connection and empathy, because as we embrace these technological marvels, we must also consider the ethical implications of AI in education. We need to ensure that the use of AI respects the principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability. While AI can significantly enhance learning, balancing human interaction and technological innovation is crucial. Here, we as teachers play a vital role in creating a nurturing and sportive learning environment. And we must not let technology overshadow the importance of human connection and empathy. Additionally, the ethical use of AI in education requires us to address data privacy and security. And that's why we had a fantastic session yesterday. Safeguarding students' information, ensuring responsible data usage should be paramount. Establishing clear guidelines and regulations to protect student privacy while harnessing the benefit of AI-powered educational tools is essential. Just now before this valedictory session, Professor Pant spoke about National Quantum Mission. And as UGC has issued a notice urging higher education institutions to create awareness about this National Quantum Mission among the faculty, researchers, students, to acquire benefit from this mission. So this initiative is anticipated to speed up the quantum technology-led economic growth, strengthen the national ecosystem, and position of India as a global leader in creating quantum technologies applications. So we can see that incredibly, generative AI technology holds immense potential for transforming education. It can empower us as teachers, enhance students' learning experiences, and unlock avenues for knowledge dissemination. However, we must approach these advancements cautiously, emphasizing ethical considerations and preserving human values in education. By embracing technology while upholding ethical standards, we can create a future where education is more accessible, personalized, and impactful. And I want to show this image which has been shared in one of our Learning 320 group. You all know about that psychological principle. You can take a horse to the pond, but cannot make it drink water. So in terms of generative AI, somebody has created it that you can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make it think. So thank you so much for the opportunity for me to interact again with all of you. Thank you.
You can also briefly say what kind of technology you use in this FDP program.
Sir?
You can also briefly say what kind of technology you use in this program.
Okay. In this FDP, we try to make use and understand and develop the expertise among various faculty members from various fronts. For online education, there are three important things. One is to have an understanding of a platform where the content can be mounted. So we had an understanding of various kind of learning management systems, and then we need certain tools, certain platform for which we can have synchronous live interactive programs. So we had an understanding of various web conferencing tools. And in addition to that, the third component is that about how we can create content. So the various tools creating text-based, image, audio, simulations, and like those, either as a non-AI based tools or AI based tools. Those technological advancements, they were also practiced, and we are very happy to inform all our learned members here that our participants, this workshop, I can say that it was a real outcome-based workshop, in which when the resource person was sharing their knowledge, the colleagues, they were contributing, and at the same time, they were also generating on the creating their own, like if it is to be some content generation that was done by them, they shared their resources, and we hope that they will be available to all of them for future reference.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable inputs with all of us. And now we are proceeding towards the report presentation for the entire sessions which were conducted in this 1 week online national level faculty development program. And I will formally invite our program coordinator from Lakshmi College, Dr. Anita Malhotra, and the program coordinator on behalf of Indian Colleges Forum SEEDS, Dr. Reshma Watts, to present their reports jointly. Anita ma'am, Reshma ma'am, I welcome you, and I'll invite you to present the report of the sessions.
Thank you, Pracheta. Good evening. Am I audible, Pracheta?
You're perfectly audible and visible as well.
So good evening, our chief guest, respected Professor Kavita Sharma, esteemed guests of honor, Professor A.K. Bakshi, Professor Jaswinder Singh, Program Management Advisor, respected Professor D.D. Sharma sir, Program Director, respected Professor Pratyush Vatsala, Program Technical Advisor, Dr. R.C. Sharma, Program Coordinator, Dr. Reshma Watts, members of Organizing Committee, and dear participants. I welcome you all once again to this valedictory session of FDP. It is my pleasure to co-present with Dr. Reshma Watts the report of online faculty development program on Higher Education 4.0, making teachers future ready. The much anticipated and awaited online faculty development program on Higher Education 4.0, making teachers future ready, was organized by Lakshmi Bai College, University of Delhi, and Indian Colleges Forum SEED in collaboration with Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center under the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching, Ministry of HRD, Government of India. The objectives of FDP were to deliberate on the aspects of implication of higher education 4.0 on the future role of teachers of higher education, to discuss newer methods of tools of teaching learning process with a focus on implementing NEP 2020, and to discuss and equip the teachers to meet challenges before higher education in AI age. In terms of methodology, the contents relevant to the course were uploaded on the Canvas LMS. The participant and resource persons had access to it. 12 eminent resource persons presented highly informative talks employing diverse teaching pedagogies to engage and interact with the participants in 16 sessions of 90 minutes each over the 6 days. All the sessions were recorded and the recordings were made available to all the participants. The inaugural session was initiated by playing a pre-recorded video containing the inaugural address by General Director of GAD TLC, Professor Vimal Rat. Thereafter, another pre-recorded video was screened containing the vision and mission, statement of purpose, the glorious background behind setting up Teaching Learning Center, the previous goals achieved, and its relevance and foresight for the future of teaching in the age of digital innovations and interventions. In his inaugural address, Professor A.K. Bakshi, Chairman Advisory Committee of GAD TLC, spoke on quality education in India in the 21st century, challenges and opportunities. He stressed on inculcating emotional intelligence and, most importantly, how not to feel demotivated by the upcoming challenges of a digital interface, but to accept the reality and progress with it. He discussed the importance of practical, skill-based knowledge, student-centric methodology, the goal of competency, and outcome-based education, thinking, innovation, and creativity. Furthermore, online examination and ICT-based pedagogy were discussed, the threat of robotic intelligence replacing teacher, research taking over teaching process, proficiency in terms of being tech proficient, and regular professional development in terms of FDPs and refresher courses were also emphasized. Lastly, he motivated the participants to go beyond building one's capability and focus on building one's own personality, which is more proactive and self-sufficient. Professor Bakshi's presentation was uplifting, and the faculty members felt invigorated after interacting with him. In session 1, Professor G.D. Sharma started his talk on challenges of higher education in Fourth Industrial Revolution, Education 4.0, in a warm conversational mode, and traced the history of Industrial Revolution. He described how research and scholarship came into prominence with the Third Industrial Revolution and how all of these ultimately resulted in the development of computing sciences, and interdisciplinary approach was reintroduced, facilitated by more machine and automation-based innovations. Neural network as a part of computer science, inclusion of the internet, and developing electronic science also facilitated a widening framework of knowledge. He concluded that in view of the larger issue of society impacting the world, we need to restructure research and education and face the dilemma of including artificial intelligence and enabling technology in a constructive way. The next two sessions were conducted by Professor Ramachandran, who stressed on the changing role of teachers who are no longer just information providers, but need to play multiple roles such as content designers, pedagogy experts, and assessment specialists. The session highlighted the need to focus on building skills of students such as problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, and reflective effective communication in the real-world scenario. A significant emphasis was also placed on the importance of creating a multidisciplinary learning environment. One minute, my computer is hung up. Sorry. A significant emphasis was also placed on the importance of creating a multidisciplinary learning environment to offer the students a well-rounded education. This approach helps the students to develop a broader perspective, critical thinking skills, and ability to connect knowledge across different domains. The session stressed on the significance of making teachers future-ready to meet the evolving needs of students in a technology-driven world. Creating a multidisciplinary learning environment and focusing on skill development emerged as the key strategies for ensuring holistic growth of students. On day 2, Dr. Srinivas took 2 sessions on aspects of online teaching and teaching platforms, as well as on systems of online evaluation. He began by connecting national education policy with personalized adaptive learning platforms as it would accommodate access, equity, innovation, and creativity. He stressed on the blended model, where the role of teacher transforms from a mere guide to creator, designer, and supporter, and the role of online learner is to become proactive, responsible, and self-driven. Various LMS platforms such as Google Classroom, Moodle, Canvas, Blackboard were introduced and explained. State-specific ICT initiatives in teaching and learning were also introduced. Creative Commons Search, YouTube Filter, Google Advanced Search were explained. The flipped classroom in blended mode of teaching, multimedia content creation using PowerPoint, Prezi, Google Slides, video editing software using OBS Studio, screencasting devices such as Loom, Screencast-O-Matic were demonstrated. Many free open source tools such as Audacity, online collaboration tools such as Jamboard, shared documents such as Google Drive, OneDrive, assessment tools such as Google Form, Kahoot, Quizlet, formative assessment tools such as Meeting Pulse, WebEx, and various education games were also introduced. Both these sessions were highly interactive and equipped the participants with the skills for online teaching and assessment, which are very, very relevant in the current scenario. Dr. Ramesh Sharma conducted an informative session on AI tools for higher education. The session provided the participants with hands-on experience and practical demonstrations of various AI tools, highlighting their benefits and importance in the educational context. The participants were introduced to note-taking and summarizing tools such as Otter AI and Anyflip.com, grammar and language learning tools such as Grammarly, Gunning Fox, and Duolingo, AI tools for research such as Casper Chrome extension, Umata, Research Buddy, and NoPlac for data collection, analysis, plagiarism checking, and literature review for facilitating efficient and accurate research outcomes. The session emphasized on the importance of embracing AI tools to augment teaching and learning experiences, equipping the participants with the necessary skills and resources for success in the digital era. On the third day of FDP, Dr. Snehal Moge delivered an enlightening session on artificial intelligence and specially focused on ChatGPT. She provided an introduction to AI, emphasizing its growth and significance in modern society, and highlighted the diverse branches and types of AI, including neural networks, pattern recognition, image processing, and expert systems. These branches enable machines to simulate human-like intelligence and perform the task with accuracy and efficiency. The discussion on consciousness in robots and the ethical dilemmas associated with AI emphasized the importance of responsible AI development. The session sparked thoughtful conversations about the future of AI and its impact on society, fostering a deep understanding of potential benefits and challenges that lie ahead. Thereafter, Mr. Kapil Budhia delivered an insightful session on applications of AI in higher education. The session delved into the key elements of AI with a focus on machine learning. Mr. Mudhia explained how machine learning algorithms work and also deliberated on their ability to analyze data, identify patterns, and make predictions. He elaborated on AI-powered tools and applications that personalize learning experiences, provide real-time feedback, and facilitate adaptive learning. To deal with the challenges associated with AI in education, Dr. Mudhia provided practical suggestions such as the need for robust protection measures, transparency in AI algorithms, and ongoing monitoring and evaluation of AI systems. The participants were encouraged to explore the transformative potential of AI in higher education and embrace the ethical practices to ensure its positive impact on teaching learning processes. The third session on day 3 was UNESCO guideline for use of ChatGPT 3.5 in higher education, and a vigorous talk on this extremely topical issue was taken up by none other than Professor G.D. Sharma. He emphasized that ChatGPT is to be applied within different parameters of higher education, learning, research, administration, and community engagement to improve the quality and scope of these aspects. However, due to its invasive nature, it could have unethical implications. The serious concerns over the use of ChatGPT were explained as it has threatened academic integrity, imposed a lack of regulation, raises privacy-related issues, and most importantly, it cannot distinguish between good and bad, right and wrong, true and false. Professor Sharma deliberated on the 7 recommendations published by UNESCO regarding the uses of ChatGPT, and these were a system-wide vision and strategic priorities, overarching principle of AI and education policies, interdisciplinary planning and intersectoral governance, ethical, inclusive, and equitable use of artificial intelligence, master plans to use it in teaching, learning, and assessment, pilot testing, monitoring, and evaluation, and finally, fostering local AI innovations for education. The talk was well received with much enthusiasm, and it was greeted with many queries, questions, and observations regarding the implications of ChatGPT in higher education. So thank you for your listening. And now I request Dr. Reshma Vats, Program Coordinator, SEED ICF, to share the report of FTP 4th day onwards. Over to you, Reshma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Malhotra, for sharing the report of the first 3 days. We are grateful to you. So I will carry on from where Professor Malhotra has left. I will be narrating the rest of the 3 days report with all of you. So here I go. On the 30th June, session 1 was taken by Dr. Rashmi Jain from Jamia Millia Islamia. She is Associate Professor in Department of Social Work. The session was on the topic reaching out to the community. Dr. Rashmi informed participants that community engagement provides a space for inclusive dialogue towards knowing and co-owning the processes thereof. Community engagement in higher education should provide a platform for interacting forms of knowledge to promote inclusivity and partnership in knowledge development. And therefore, an attempt should be made to square society's knowledge with that of higher education intellectuals. Development of an inclusive community of practice and the notion of society as knowledge keepers was affirmed. Practicing in good faith in higher education context means challenging traditional notions of strong and weak knowledge and transforming in the manner in which we view knowledge development processes unfolding. Dr. Rashmi strongly proposed the revisit and reconstruction and consideration of epistemologies introduced by previous scholars such as reflection in action, development of community of practice, communicative dialogue, and argued that attempts should be made to bring all these great ideas to good practice in the field of community engagement in higher education. Thereafter, we had session by Professor Bakshi, and Sir spoke on the topic Sustainable Development Goals and Education. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. It comprises of 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals are indivisible and encompass economic, social, and environmental dimensions. SDG 4 focuses on education and aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The challenges and opportunities for scientific effectiveness of educational research in the 21st century form an historic and evolution perspective. Professor Bakshi emphasized the aim of educational research, in general, to make education an effective profession in shaping the new generations of citizens and professionals. In general, the areas of challenges of effectiveness in educational research are linked to the political nature of education, the problem of definition of educational research as a science, and the dislocation between educational research and practice of education. So, Sir said that we have to become responsible to fulfill the needs of useful knowledge regarding the following areas, which means educational practices to teach students, student learning, social dynamics of education, the problems of education, the management of educational institutions to direct teachers' role to the achievement of educational goals and objectives. And he's emphasized that we understand that this knowledge to improve the educational process eventually would impact effectively the development of our country. And thereafter, we had session 3. This was on a very interesting topic called Neuroscience and Education, Enhancing Critical and Analytical Thinking. This was taken by Engineer Rahul Agarwal, and Sir stressed the importance of a simple model of the brain and its 3 layers to screen rational and emotional aspects. He discussed the relevance of emotional intelligence in the technological-driven area. He raised quite a few pertinent questions in the beginning and strived to present the potential reasons why humans choose to act in the precise way. Engineer Agarwal explained neurons, neurotransmitters, and neuroplasticity to comprehend the functioning of the brain. He too explained SCARF model and demystified several neuromyths. He further argued that the brain is at the center of educational practices. Until we do not understand in its entirety our dispositions to educate ourselves and others will lack the foundation. It is complex in nature, and no AI tools or robots can categorically enhance such complexity in its functioning. Therefore, AI may appear as threatening to humankind, but displacing the human brain from the center position is no goal to achieve of any technology. And thereafter, the next day, that is 1st of July, the first session was taken by Professor Haritma Chopra. The topic of the session was linking education to society through research, the concept practice of college. So the session aimed to provide valuable insights and knowledge on having a research club in undergraduate college. The speaker extensively talked about the process of having such a club from inception in the college. She took an example of her own college, which is Maitri College, by providing some of the initiatives such as the summer internship program, annual research program, and many others, and demonstrated various ways and benefits of installing research attitudes in undergraduate students. Professor Chopra delivered an insightful presentation on how to develop research attitudes among students and to lay the foundation for higher education. She further argued for prompting research-based learning and how each academic institution must create a research-friendly environment. She demonstrated that if we provide a conducive environment for students, they would eventually develop self-discipline for questioning and research that can turn out to be a meaningful projects in future. An institute must foster such projects. She explained her initiative in Maitri College for developing research attitudes among students and faculties. She chose an inclusive process in accommodating many students. For greater exposure, Maitri College collaborated with institutions par excellence, and not only in India, but also from abroad. She presented a detailed report on various research projects and their outcomes, and how those projects motivated new students to join the club. She further explained about various journals and magazines of the college to demonstrate the caliber and seriousness of the students for research. She showed the diverse themes and various topics their journals and magazines have accommodated. She urged all the participants to inculcate such a research attitude in students in our respective institutions to prepare them for the future. The talk was very, very motivational. And thereafter, we had another talk by Professor G.D. Sharma ji. Sir spoke on the topic research for enhancing quality, relevance, and contribution to society. Sir delivered an insightful presentation on this topic covering key concepts, methodologies, and recent developments. The presentation was accompanied by various examples, challenges, and relevant case studies to enhance comprehension and engagement of the participants. Professor Sharma emphasized on including research clubs in undergraduate colleges that aim to promote and facilitate research activities among undergraduate students. These clubs provide a platform for students to explore their research interests, collaborate with peers, and engage in scholarly activities outside of the classroom. The session aimed to provide valuable insights and knowledge on having research clubs, developing research attitude among students. The talk explored challenges in having such a research environment by engaging participants in interactive discussions and fostering intellectual growth. And research clubs need to organize various activities such as workshops, seminars, and conferences to foster a research-oriented culture on campus. They may also facilitate mentorship programs where experienced researchers or professors guide and support students in their research endeavors. These clubs can cover a wide range of disciplines, including sciences, social sciences, humanities, engineering, and must include various Indian languages as well. He further focused on the lack of ground-level data and suggested to include undergraduate students after some relevant training for collecting ground-level data. This will help us have real-time data, and we must include new technologies to process data. In no time, we can produce substantial research findings from this undergraduate research, which will boost confidence and prepare them for higher education. And thereafter, we had session by Dr. Vandana Gulia. She spoke on the topic social media and social dilemma, be cyber wise, a very, very important topic for the day. And the beginning of the latest technologies have always presented an early challenge for society, the education sector and law enforcement agencies. Government and our educational system should take proper strategies and techniques about protecting everybody from cybercrime. Youth and people who are using the internet frequently should take preventive measures like work safely and carefully, increase awareness level, develop their mental ability and perception level for protecting all kinds of cyber crimes. The need of the hour is to make individuals aware of cybercrime and cybersecurity and give them the tools and knowledge that they need to protect themselves. Cybersecurity is also considered a digital pandemic, as many people have started working online for the very first time. Along with the awareness of cybercrime, various studies have also found that youth were involved in cybercrime such as online drug trafficking, cyber stalking, online hacking, identity theft, child pornography, etc. So the session was extremely useful. And I wish to tell you about the session which was held today by Professor M. Pant. He spoke on the topic future challenges before teachers. So even his session was very, very interactive. Spur spoke widely about developing a science of learning. He said it's very, very important to understand this science of learning. He said that merely having technology will not help. We need to understand learning pyramid and pedagogy of learning. We need to understand and observe what is happening around us in the classrooms and become researchers. He quoted Thomas Lewis and Carl and said that it's very important for all of us to understand the concept of active learning, and all new learning should be implemented in practice. Sir told us about the various new technologies like the augmented reality, virtual reality, technology of blockchain, and he emphasized that the time has come that there is a paradigm shift, and he also shared the worldview regarding that. And thereafter, there were many questions from the participants regarding teachers' autonomy, and Sir said to all of them that it's very important to have open and it's very important to differentiate between open and closed mindset. So it's important for teachers to develop an open mindset. And he told us about various technological tools like AI and ChatGPT. He shared very, very pertinent information with all of us regarding National Quantum Technology Mission, which means the time has come that we need to think and learn about quantum technologies, quantum computing, quantum machine learning, and quantum communication. Thereafter, we were blessed to have Professor Jaswinder Singh Ji from Khalsa College. Sir also spoke about transformation of education, and he emphasized on transforming assessment systems. He said that we have to change ourselves with the changing times, and the time has come to embrace technology and make judicious use of technology. Thereafter, we had Professor R.C. Sharma Ji. He's associate professor in Ambedkar University. Sir showed us the very nice presentation, a video, and also emphasized that, we have to make judicious use of technology and unprecedented technological advancements from first to fourth industrial revolution. And it's a time that the time has come that we have to understand the wonders of modern technology, which is transformative. He also informed us about generative AI, and in all these AI transformations and technological transformations, how important it is to have human connectivity and empathy. And we need to also understand the ethical use of AI. Professor Sharma also emphasized on the National Quantum Mission, which was told to us by Professor M. Pant. So we are thankful to all these speakers who have given their valuable time to us in this duration to encourage and motivate our participants to learn all the latest development in the fields. So we can say that all the learning outcomes of this FDP have been effectively met. The learning outcomes like to understand the challenges of higher education in fourth industrial revolution, which is education 4.0, why and how of multidisciplinary orientation, and what are the strategies that we can do to implement multidisciplinarity in our colleges and universities. We had sessions on aspects of online teaching and teaching platforms, systems of online evaluation and assessment, AI tools for higher education, open AI, ChatGPT, application of AI in higher education. So all the topics, relevant topics, which are very, very important for a teacher today were covered. We also had session by Professor Sharma on UNESCO Guide for Use of ChatGPT, and a very, very important session which was reaching out to the community, Sustainable Development Goals in Education, Neuroscience in Education, and Social Media and Social Dilemma, Be Cyberwise. So we covered various range of topics which were very, very important for today's teacher to survive and thrive in the Education 4.0 era. Thank you so much. Here I complete my report. Thank you so much.
A very good evening to one and all present here. I hope I am audible.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation for your exceptional presentation on this faculty development program and its impact on equipping teachers for the future. On behalf of the entire audience, I express sincere gratitude for your hard work and dedication. And we look forward to witnessing the positive transformations that will result from the implementation of this higher education 4.0 program. Once again, thank you, both of you. As we constantly strive to improve our programs and ensure their effectiveness, we believe that gathering feedback from participants is crucial. Your insights and observations will provide us with valuable information that will help us enhance the quality and impact of our future initiatives. I kindly invite you to share your observations and feedback regarding this program. Your input will help us understand the strengths of this program and areas where we can make improvements. We value your perspective and would be grateful if you could spare a few moments to share your thoughts with us. First, I would like to invite Ms. Sabari Sarkar from Shillong. Ms. Sabari Sarkar from Shillong.
नहीं ज्ञान का कोई अंत, बूंद बूंद बाटो तो तृप्त करे और भंडार अपना और भरे, है आकाश अनंत, पाकर ज्ञान हर पंछी स्वच्छंद अपना उड़ान उसमें भरे. A very good evening to one and all. I would like to thank the organizers for organizing such a wonderful and informative faculty development program. I would also like to thank the resource persons for the informative sessions, from challenges of higher education to implementation of multidisciplinary. The trend of online classes, which started during COVID period, we came to know many good and useful sides of it in the session on online teaching and teaching platform. Research and how it can contribute to the society was a very nice session. We heard about neuroscience and education, where emotions, intelligence, development of different skills, enhancement of critical and analytic thinking were discussed. It was a very nice session. Nowadays, we get calls, messages, mail for loan, KYC, etc. And the session where cybercrime related to these and institutions and cybersecurity was discussed was very informative and alarming for us. Then we heard about AI and ChatGPT and their use in higher education and research. Their advantages and threats related was an alarming session and was for us was really motivating and alerting also. We have to use them in education, keeping in mind and trying to overcome the threats related. Then today's session on active and passive learners. Then quantum mission was a very interesting session where many different areas were touched. So with the hope that we teachers will share the knowledge we gather and learn with our students and help them to build strong wings so that they grow and have overall development and can fly in the infinite sky. With this hope, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Now I would like to invite Dr. Radhika.
Thank you so much for giving me. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my observation and feedback. I would like to express my sincere gratitude and also want to congratulate the organizing team, including program management advisor, program director, program coordinator, and academic organizing committee. I found this FDP wonderful because I personally feel that it has justified the title, that is Higher Education 4.0, which talks about the integration of technology and machine learning, artificial intelligence, chat GPT, etc. Basically related to the paradigm shift. Paradigm is basically the world view, how the way in which the world view is shifting. We as a teacher also need to shift the pedagogical aspect. So from this FDP, I want to reflect on three important aspects which is related to paradigm, that is ontology, which refers to the nature of meaning, epistemology, which talks about the knowledge, methodology, which talks about the methods which basically we use in teaching learning process. So this FDP actually helped me to think all these aspects, because we as a teacher, the teaching learning process will be effective only if we are able to accommodate and change according to the need of the society and need of the learner. So if the learner, if their mind, if the brain is evolving with the new technology, then we as a teacher also need to change accordingly so that we can meet their expectation and we can justify with the role of a teacher. So there are new things which I have learned from this workshop. For instance, the differences between multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity, difference between technology of education and technology in education, and also the important role of as a teacher, as a facilitator, we need to create an environment in the classroom so that the learners are motivated to learn new things, to acquire a new knowledge. So there are certain important tools with which I was not aware, especially AI tools, chat GPTs, tools like TalkFall, Duolingo, Casper, Research Buddy, etc., which are very important for the research. And also there are certain sessions which was not only useful to us as a participant but also to our family members, especially the one which we have attended yesterday related to the cyber related issues, how we can protect ourselves to get trapped into all these of cyber crimes, etc. And also I like the activities which was done where we were asked to have a group discussion, and also to how we can relate our knowledge to the community level, how we can be useful to the community, because until and unless the knowledge, the learning which is taking place within the classroom, it has not been implemented in the real life, I don't think so there is a real outcome of any knowledge. There are some of the interesting sessions like session on neuroscience and education, where we talked about emotional intelligence and also the concept of research club. And the one which we have attended today by Professor Pant, which talked about, and basically the pedagogy, the interaction was very helpful in terms of storytelling session, and we learned some of the important concepts from that session also. Overall, it was very good. It was very effective. Certain changes which I would like to propose is that I feel that the time framework of this FDP can be extended. So instead of having just 1 week, 6 days, it can be 15, because I felt there are certain sessions where there can be more scope of hands-on activity experiential. Apart from this, overall the program was very effective, successful. I would like to express again my sincere gratitude and want to congratulate all the organizing team and all the people who are involved in, and all the participants also, because there are certain things which we have learned as a participant. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Radhika. Any other participant who wants to share his or her experience of this FDP?
Thank you, Priyanka.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, all the organizers and eminent professors. They have enlightened us on various aspects, and truly it is, very enriching experience. And I would like to say the way we look into AI and technical advances that changed, and this will help us, not only us, our students as well. And I would like to thank all the eminent professors for their contribution of knowledge. And I thank organizers again for such a wonderful program.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Amita Malhotra.
Good evening, one and all. To begin with, I would like to congratulate our college and also GAT TLC for giving us this collaborative opportunity, and the organizing team for such a fruitful session. One thing I really appreciate about this program is the varied resource persons that we had, right from corporates to social work, to, we can say, cybersecurity experts, and of course academicians. So the varied fields from which the resource persons were is commendable. And also I would say that I feel I am actually future ready, or I have actually been equipped to the various venues that it has opened for us, and there's so much to explore. Of course, one takeaway is that technology is here not to compete with us, but to assist us and to complement us in our profession. So I'm going to take this away with me as a learning lesson, and a few things that I would like to, it's just my opinion. I don't know whether others feel the same or not. One thing, if we could have small breaks between the session, just a 5-minute break, that would be appreciated. Another thing, that if there is any reshuffling, then that can be posted maybe in the group, because if certain area is of interest, then somebody may, that can always be done. There can be prior intimation about any rescheduling or any reshuffling of the sessions. One can make ourselves available accordingly. That's it, and congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Any other participants? So now I would like to invite Professor, Kiran Varun, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are very much audible.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kiran Varun from Department of Philosophy, Lakshmibai College, University of Delhi. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks to Lakshmibai College, University of Delhi, Indian Colleges Forum, SEED, and GAD TLC for coming up with this FDP on higher education, making teachers future ready, which is certainly need of hour. I feel that today, with fast track technology impacting and influencing the education sector immensely, it becomes categorically necessary on our part as educators to be very well equipped with all kinds of technical resources, which is completely changing the ways and means of pedagogy in 21st century today. Abundant thanks to all our resource persons for their valuable guidance in all the topics covered in this FDP, and heartfelt thanks to the organizing team for their continuous effort in ensuring the smooth running of this FDP. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mani ma'am, you want to share something with us?
Thank you, Priyanka ma'am. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to pay my gratitude to the organizing team and sincere regard and gratitude to the resource persons. I would just like to say a few words because many of the things have been shared already. Earlier, when I had joined this FDP with this topic, Higher Education 4.0, Making Teachers Future Ready, I was very confused that what I'm going to get or take away. But of course, I'll say here that at the end of this FDP, I feel myself quite empowered with various kinds of knowledge in AI and the use of the multiple use of the technologies. How can I use these things to empower my teaching capability and to engage my students in my subject? So that's all became possible because of such a friendly environment given by our coordinators, where I felt free to ask any question anytime. And of course, our resource persons like Professor Bakshi, Professor Sharma, and Professor R.C. Sharma, sir, and all of the resource persons who not only gave us the in-depth knowledge, but also with over the period of this FDP, they continuously encouraged us to be a quite capable, empowered teachers ready for the future challenges to come ahead. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mani ma'am. Now I would like to invite Professor Alka Harneja from Commerce Department, Lakshmibai College, Delhi University, to share her feedback or experience of this FDP.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening,
one
ma'am.
and all. So respected professors and all my fellow colleagues, I extend a very warm welcome to you, as well as extend my gratitude and sincerest thanks to all the organizing team for putting up such a wonderful FDP. They have unlocked the doors of uncharted territories for me, at least. Might not be for others, but on the verge of retirement, I have learned new technologies, and I was afraid, I was fearful whether I'll be able to use them. But today I did open up ChatGPT and typed in something like 60 to 65 years age teachers, how will ChatGPT help them? And it came up with something very unique. It said your expertise and that tech can merge together to make you into a wonderful teacher. So I think ChatGPT, AI, all these tools are there to enable us. And as a role model for my younger colleagues, I think I should also learn what they are learning. And in the 3 years remaining of my teaching life, I think I should give to my students what they deserve in the 21st century. So thank you so very much, all the organizers and the professors who have shared their resources with us, their knowledge with us. Thank you so very much. Looking forward to another FDP like this very soon. It was very, very enlightening, informative session, time well spent every evening, 2:30 to 7. It was really a time well spent. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your active participation and for sharing your valuable observations. I want to express my sincere gratitude for your openness, honesty, and thoughtful observations. By sharing your observations, you have not only contributed to the success of this program, but have also demonstrated your commitment to advancing our collective knowledge and growth. Once again, thank you for your valuable insights and for being an integral part of this online program. Thank you so much, dear participants, for being with us. Now I would like to invite Prashant. Prashant, over to you.
Thank you, Priyanka. So now I would like to invite Dr. Kavita Sharma. So before I hand over to her, let me tell a very interesting story. So when I joined Hindu College back in 2010, 2 years back, Dr. Kavita Sharma left the college. But even after that, we kept hearing stories about how efficient she was as a principal and how academically sound she was in her thing. So I just wanted to say that even if he was not there in Hindu College, we had a lot of stories. My 3 years in Hindu College hostel, I kept hearing how she made the whole institution. She kept, she took the whole institution to new heights. So now Pracheta has already introduced her. Let me just point out her the academic achievements. She is currently president South Asian University in New Delhi. She was teaching, as I already mentioned, in Hindu College, Delhi University, for about 37 years. He was also a student of the same college and finally served as its principal for 10 years from 1998 to 2008. He was then director, Indian International Center, New Delhi. He is life member of several prestigious associations and institutes, including Indian Association of Canadian Studies, Indian Law Institute, Association of Comparative Literature, and Indian History Congress. He has been a recipient of Indo-Canadian Shastri Fellowship twice and has also been awarded the Fulbright Scholarship New Century Scholar for research on higher education in the 21st century, access and equity by J. William Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board. He has several published books to her credit, including Windmill of the Mind, Queens of Mahabharat, Birds, Beasts, Men and Nature in Mahabharat, Internationalization of Higher Education, an aspect of India's foreign relations 2008, 60 years of University Grant Commission establishment, growth and evolution, and Hindu College Delhi, a people's movement. He has also contributed extensively to research journals and participated regularly in seminars and conferences in India and abroad on subjects ranging from higher education, gender issues, diaspora, and Mahabharata. I again invite and welcome Dr. Kavita Sharma. We are really fortunate to have you here at our farewell session. Now over to you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prashant Kumar, for those, what shall I say? I feel humbled at your words. But Hindu College is in my blood. I think no matter where I go, it will always be Hindu College.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Professor G.D. Sharma and wonderful colleagues whom I've just heard speak. You obviously had a wonderful 1 week discussing AI and other related topics of pedagogy and research connected with it. I have come here as in the last minute, 5 minutes before your session began. So I can only share with you a few thoughts of mine. The pandemic catapulted us into using online learning. And I think this was, with all the tragedy it created, it was a mixed blessing. Because if we had been left to ourselves, we would have debated it for years on end before we would have taken to it. But we were thrown into the deep end, and the teachers had to undergo a huge learning curve. Because everyone was used to chalk and talk. Now you have to communicate everything online. So how do you do it so as not to lose the attention of the students? I know many students would just switch off their cameras and would be roaming around here and there and not paying attention to what was going on. So it was a big learning curve. And then so many platforms have been mentioned, how to put forward pictures, how to put clips of talks or music or whatever else you were speaking about. So it was a huge learning curve. But we are back to our classrooms. And although we have a wonderful national education policy, but our classrooms, in spite of everything, are, according to me, still belong to the industrial age. You still have the teacher standing in front, wielding authority, and the whole bunch of students in front of her or him. And this in itself creates an unequal relationship. Now, the teacher is supposed to be the fountain of all knowledge there, and she gives all kinds of information, and we find a lot of students bunking class or doing something else, because today information is so readily available. AI is already with us. ICT is all over us. We cannot live without ICT. Even the phones that we carry. And have we got addicted to the phones? Yes. If we don't have our phone for about 10 minutes, when we are looking around for it, where's my phone? It's like a mini computer that we are carrying, and immediate knowledge is, or immediate information, I won't say knowledge, immediate information is available to us. Our exam system is again of the industrial age, because there is a set syllabus and we are supposed to know that, and we are supposed to answer questions on that. It leaves very little room for innovative thinking, and given our numbers, it also leaves very little room for the examiner to actually spend time appreciating a script which is different from the others. Now, NEP is trying to bring about some changes. It is trying to get rid of the rigidities of our system, right? Broad-based education. One colleague said Deepak Nair started it, which is true. And did he face resistance? Yes, he did. When he demanded that the humanities students must also do a couple of papers in science, he faced a lot of resistance. And vice versa, that science students must do some papers in humanities. We've come a long way from that. Today in CBSE, streams have been abolished. How it will work out, we don't know. Streams have been abolished, and you are free to take whatever subjects you want. And then with the Central University entrance exam, you're free to choose whatever you want. Central University entrance exam, given the numbers in itself, is a miracle of ICT and AI. So now, when I first met with ICT and AI and robotics, I went 7-8 years ago to a conference in Malaysia. And there were two scholars from Singapore talking about the use of robotics and AI. And it was really a frightening scenario, because what it amounted to was that the jobs as we know them today will be lost. Most of the mid-level jobs will be lost. I mean, even the doctors, except for a very serious condition, you will not need to go to the doctor. All our records will be with the doctor. The doctors can be interconnected according to their specialities, and you can get a diagnosis at home. Now, already today, for example, in medicine, robotics is being used for surgery. I have been to small tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns, where they don't have the facilities, but they beam the mode of doing the operation onto a big screen. And the doctor follows that, and so provides a larger degree of service than would be otherwise possible. Lawyers, we will not need lawyers, so many lawyers except to fight very complicated cases. Chartered accountants, all these jobs will be lost. We could also live in a world where the cars are driverless, the trains are driverless. And for that, you need a different kind of a network of roads and skills and capabilities. We just saw the huge tragedy in Odisha. Part of I think, not having enough capability in ICT. We can computerize everything, but we need to have the skill to be able to use it. Now, technology, like all things, is a double-edged sword. Technology in itself, you can argue, is neutral. What use you make of it is most important. Are we going to end up creating Frankenstein, where nobody will talk to anybody, nobody needs anybody, we are just isolated because everything is on our phones or on our homes? AI-enabled homes. You walk in, the door will open on itself, the lights will come on their own. You just have to shout to Alexa or Siri or something and the toast will be made. So I actually went to a hotel in China where I was petrified because it was so enabled. You know, you just had to sit there and I didn't know how to open the windows, the blinds. They would just come on their own. The washroom would just open on itself. And I was really petrified for a little while. Now the NEP is trying to get rid of some of the rigidities and create a broad-based education. It is also talking about multiple exit points, multiple entry points. It is also talking about digital bank for the credits earned. It is also talking about how you need to do only a certain percentage of courses in your own institution and the rest can come from another institution. How does it all work and where does it all work? That is something we need to ponder over. Now, when the pandemic started, I was mentoring rather, not heading, a vocational institution of girls below poverty line who were in the isolated or remote areas of Uttarakhand. When the pandemic started, they had no resources, they had no equipment. We had to send them back to their homes, but the classes had to go on. As in China, when this happened, the authorities said the schools are closed but not learning. So the learning had to go on, but they did not have phones, they did not have tablets, they did not have connectivity. So what I'm really trying to say is, in India, with our diversity, with our unequal development, with our lack of infrastructure, what I worry about is, will we create a section of elite society which has access to all this and masses of people who have no access? And what will that do to the society? Of course, AI is really machine-based learning, and it can do a lot of things. It can give you information. It can take you through step-by-step learning. It can organize the learning. And but this can be, I read about somewhere in Bangalore, a school where you have a robot physics teacher. And the actual teacher, she was sitting behind in the last row of the classroom, trying to see how the robot teacher will work. Now, that's scary, huh? And then with this kind of knowledge, you can do wonderful things, like you can simulate. You know, we learn history, for example. Let's say we want to know about the plague. There was a lot of interest in the plague that in England that happened a few centuries ago. Not the flu plague, another plague that happened in England where people died. It was really a bubonic plague because of the rats and lack of hygiene. Now, someone had made a program which simulated the London of that time, 4 centuries back London. And what were the lanes, by lanes, what was the state of hygiene, how were the rats dying, how were the people dying. Now, with that kind of a simulation, we will never forget it. So it can be used to do very many things, which mere chalk and talk, or even showing films on it. Films will have a better impact, but the real simulation of the subject can have a tremendous impact on the minds of the young people. Now, what will also, the NEP seems very progressive to us. But now there are institutions, I know in USA, where if there are 20 people in a class, all 20 sit with their computers, but they're all doing different courses. They're doing courses from different universities on the same subject, but they're sitting together. They can choose their own courses, and they just have a common room to come together and work on their computer on that. Now, what does a teacher do when there are 20 people, let's say, doing 10 different university courses? What is the role of the teacher? So obviously the role will have to change from imparting knowledge to facilitating that knowledge. And much wider knowledge about what is happening in different parts of the world. And how do we make use of it? Because our students will go ahead and do it. Now, I've always had two hobby horses. One is multidisciplinarity and the other one is internationalization of higher education. And for years, I was told why it should not happen. And that I talk elite. I'm very happy to see that it is happening whole hog in the new education policy. Joint degrees, dual degrees, full use of technology is envisaged. So online courses have been there for ages. IGNOU has had a very wide reach in the entire world. So now this is being extended. So of course, as I said, again, it will lead to the thing, how many institutions will be able to use it? And when we make these policies, we will have to think on what do we do with institutions that cannot make it. Right. Now, with so many jobs that will be lost, we don't know what will arrive. Since we don't know what will arrive, how do we make our students ready? We can't. Because we don't know what the nature of the job will be, what will be the skill required for that job. We can only go up to a certain point and make facilities available for that, for making the student ready for the job. But essentially what we have to, as teachers, since we are becoming a bit defunct on our giving of information, we will have to think of what should I inculcate in my students so that the student gets job ready for a job that we don't know will come. So these are the good old words that we've been spouting for a long time: creativity, innovation, lateral thinking. But now willy-nilly, we don't just talk about it in our conferences. We will just have to work on how to do that. So that when a new job, when a new skill arrives, the student knows how to acquire it, from where to acquire it, and how to become skilled in it. Because at that point of time, even the teacher may not know how to do that. So we will have to do fluidity of education. Again, something we've talked about for a long time. The industry and the universities will have to come together, and I'm glad to see it's happening. I'm also glad to see the UGC circular which says the practitioner professor who doesn't need a net, who doesn't need a whatever else that we ask for, PhD, net, etc. I would take a step forward and also integrate it at the back end. India is one of the most skilled countries of the world. You just have to see And why do we confine our skills to only plumbing and electricity and carpentry and all the rest of it? And, computer. We have the best skilled people. Look at our crafts. Look at the precision in our crafts. Look at our metal work. Look at our paper work. Look at paper mache work. Look at our weaving. Look at our spinning. Look at our designing. And without any external aids, the guy just weaves it without going wrong. I mean, there is no blemish in it. It's a perfection. So I think we need to use AI. And of course, the NEP talks about Lok Vidya. But how Lok Vidya? We need to integrate it through AI and create programs where we would actually be able to see how to go from the indigenous to the cutting edge research in a seamless manner. That's the challenge that we will have, and which now technology will make possible. So really what technology will do is learning, research. We are already using this technology in research. We are already using it in hazardous jobs. I mean, so far back as in 1974 when I went to Tokyo, where the construction work used to go on and on the roads, and you had to divert traffic. They didn't use a human being. They used a robot. This was so far back. Because it's hazardous for a human being to stand there and direct traffic. I've been working, Professor G.D. Sharma knows about it. I've been working on a book which is now complete and into production on comparative, on higher education, a comparison between China and India. And 700 universities already have been tasked by the government to work on AI and cutting edge AI technology and make the country AI ready. We are still nowhere near that. But then maybe we should pick out a few universities who are at the top in our country and give them the task of doing this work and then disseminating it to the others. Now, before I end, the examination system. We've been talking about exam reform since the Woods Dispatch. Now it's 2 centuries. What, again, I don't have the answer. What exam will we do when people have, and this is not just what the NEP envisages in India, that you will do something from IP College and something from Hindu College and another thing from Lady Shri Ram College or whatever. You may end up doing courses from abroad, right? Now with the whole hog internationalization. How do you evaluate all this? And who evaluates all this? That, so these things will have to be thought through, and not just at the policy level, because we are very good at making policies. We don't do any implementation. I mean, our best policies, even our Kothari Commission was never implemented full scale. Which commission? Acharya Ramamurthy, so on. You can just go on taking names and nothing was implemented full scale. So it's time that we put our noses to the ground and start functioning and start working. So what will happen with such disparities will be, as I said, and then do we dehumanize people with everything based on technology? So what will the teacher, we go back to the good old values, the teacher will have to talk of compassion, will have to talk of helping each other, will, those good old values, not defrauding each other online. We were talking of cyber security and all these things. So it's easy enough to buy equipment, at least for some universities and some organizations. it is very difficult to actually implement it. I'm glad this has happened, this workshop or whatever course has happened, because at least the awareness has been created. Of course, people will go back to their respective organizations, and then we will get into the usual wrangle of no resources, no money, no grant, no nothing. But we will be aware, and we will try to work towards the goal. Right now, what happens is when a policy is there, people are so, people reject it so quickly. Now there is no more scope left for that rejection, because the country's growth, someone mentioned Prime Minister, I was there at the closing of the centenary celebrations, will depend on the use of technology, on cutting edge technology, whether it is space research, whether it is deep sea mining, all these areas, so many different areas that you can talk about, will depend on our use of technology. And of course, the best is the most important is climate change. How do we prevent that? Sustainable development. I don't see any university here which has taken any steps towards sustainable development. I could be wrong. I'm out of the loop now. But what have our universities done for sustainable development to try to achieve those goals? Anyway, again, if we are serious about it, we will have to look at all that. And multidisciplinarity, Professor Yashpal used to talk about it years and years and years ago. He used to say, how do you think we worked in ISRO? How do you think we worked in the Bhabha institution? We didn't have all these things that you people have. He was my neighbor here in my sector, and he would talk about it. We just sat together. And because people from different disciplines sat together and had the culture of talking about the current research problem they were engaged in, we got multiple points of view, and we came up with very innovative things. So AI will only facilitate that innovation, because now you can do it so easily. So what I would like to say is that it has immense possibilities. It has immense potential. We don't have a choice but to accept it. We don't have a choice but to learn it and go ahead with it, make our students ready, otherwise they'll become irrelevant. Not only they will not be global citizens, far cry, they will not even be able to do anything in India. And so at the same time, we must be aware of its disruption. And I don't mean disruption in the way that we use it as a disruptive technology. In the societal disruption, it has the potentiality to cause. And also give a thought to how to minimize that, how to prevent that. Well, these are some of the thoughts I had. I have had no time to prepare for it. I was sitting peacefully and reading the newspaper when Professor G.D. Sharma said, in 5 minutes, you should be there. Of course, I have so much respect for Professor Sharma, and I know him for such a long time. I said, okay. I quickly changed and came here. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and listening patiently. I hope what I said made some sense in spite of my, rough and ready pouring it out from my own head. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Even your unprepared lecture has too many insights. And I must say that the way you have introduced the whole discussion on AI and how we and all the stakeholders of higher education needs to be prepared for artificial intelligence, as well as the tools that they are going to produce. Plus, the way you have mentioned that the simulation. So there will be many ways and many cases where we can simply simulate certain historical acts or then political situation. We can simply have and we can have a very direct conversation with the student. Plus, like if we also see the latest developments and latest article on metaverse, and if someone is aware of metaverse, like if someone is reading novels like Snowflake or Ready Player Go, and they are having a very broad imaginary conception of how our next world would be and how we can simply imagine our education system in that metaverse. And this is going to be very exciting and as well as very innovative. But at the same time, if all these things are there, it all depends on our IT and AI infrastructure. As you rightly pointed out, that even if there are immense possibilities and potentiality, yet there are certain challenges. So even if we are, if it all depends on IT and AI infrastructure, the first question is whose infrastructure? Second is that who can afford such an infrastructure? And then you rightly mentioned the challenge that will this kind of education be for elite only the one who can afford that? So these are also the certain challenges, and I think that we have received too many insights from your lecture. And I really thank you for you finding relevant time, even in a very short notice, after the request by Professor Sharma. We are really glad to have you here, and I really thank you again. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you very much. Thank you, very grateful.
Now I would like to invite Racheta to
Yes.
invite the other professor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kavita ma'am. Thank you, Prashant. And I'd like to invite now Professor G.D. Sharma, who has been a mentor figure for all of us and who has guided us very well on how to conduct this FDP. And we are indeed grateful to him. And today we are eager to listen to the concluding remarks from G.D. Sharma, sir. Sir, please take over.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, Kavita Sharma. I'm beholden to you. And that shows your academic commitment and academic commitment to the colleges and college teachers. I just requested her that it's hardly 5 minutes time, and her commitment to academic, her commitment to development colleges immediately agreed beside my request, and the way she expressed her thought are really covering the whole 1 week program which we had the participant undergone. She discussed about the AI, she discussed about the challenges, she discussed ways how things work, and she also shared the experiences she had where how this latest development in technologies is really petrifying to us. When she spoke about the China experience, where they are really, before you land in the China, some car would be waiting for you. It's a self-driven car. It will take you to hotel where you are. So this all in a simple and effective manner. You are really covered larger ground and explain the people the challenges which the teachers are facing. At the same time, big opportunity for them to really undertake. I'm really beholden to you, and you are effectively covered all the ground. I really congratulate you for without. It's better to sometimes I feel not to have time to prepare. It's unprepared lecture is much better than the prepared lecture. My friend Pant used to say, PowerPoint corrupt, power corrupt politician, PowerPoint corrupt academician. So if you are unprepared, you do much better job, and you have really done it. She shared a very interesting episode of Professor Jaspal. There was a problem of remote sensing, and India did not have that technology of remote sensing. Then Professor Jaspal and some of the physicists, and they started working on the remote sensing. Then people from America said that, look here, how can you do the remote sensing? He simply replied, as you did in the earlier days, we'll do the same way. And remote sensing was developed by Professor Jaspal and a group of the people. That's what the examples he gave, that how things can happen. You come together, you work together, and you develop that. As other people have done the same thing. This episode, the kind of narration was really inspiring and motivating to the teachers who were present here. And I must congratulate you and all of the people who are attending the program today. It was a most befitting valedictory address, and I must thank you and congratulate you for the same.
Thank you.
Let me also thank all the resource persons who have really shared their knowledge very passionately, very effectively, and professionally. I think every resource person very professionally shared their ideas and thinking. Much more learning for me has been, this is the first time ICF is organizing program with another ICF member college, Lakshmi College, and also the DU GAD TLC Center. We didn't have that kind of a combined or kind of joint experience in terms of dealing with the FDP. And this has given us a lot of learning how three organizations can come together and implement the FDP. And particularly, I must say, the kind of professional backup they have developed at GAD TLC is really good. And professional backup, which has been developed in the Lakshmi College, I was sometimes worried that whether it will happen in that way, but it has happened in a very effective and a very effective manner and very sort of inspiring manner for all others. And I'm sure that this team which has joined in Lakshmi College and the team which is working in GAD TLC and team working in the SEED ICF, Dr. Kavita Sharma is closely associated with SEED ICF, and also she is a member of the editorial board of College Post, which we are publishing quarterly. So it is a great honor for me that she has joined today, and other members, and then contributed a great deal in the process of implementing this program. I would like to place on record the kind of a support and kind of openness with which the director of the program, Dr. Vasla, we just sat for a 15 to 20 minutes and she said, we would like to have the FDP on this program. I said, what is the kind of thing on the higher education 4.0? I said, let's go ahead and do it. It was a 15-20 minute discussion with her and things started working. So that kind of a way your leader in the college is working is really commendable. I must also congratulate her for making this possible happen. With these words, I'll now say that good thing to all the participants, those who effectively participated in this, and they have also worked on the technology which has been shared by many of the experts in this sessions, and therefore none of them have showed any kind of a resistance to learning. One of the good things which I found that those who participate, they were very willing to learn and very willing to share their doubts and experiences, and they demonstrated a great deal of enthusiasm in learning. We have already got the feedback from you, and feedback is being analyzed. We'll be also giving you the test as agreed on 4th of July, and then I'm sure a kind of a basic understanding of how this program has worked, how to take it further, that will be also taken up. And I must thank all the people, team, the Lakshmi team, GAD team, as well as SEED ICF people who have sincerely and effectively worked to make this program a great success. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Your presence and guidance throughout this program have been invaluable. Your expertise, wisdom, and unwavering support have truly made a significant impact on the success of this program. Your guidance has been instrumental in shaping the minds and futures of our participants, and I am confident that they will carry your wisdom with them throughout their journeys. Your passion and commitment are truly admirable, and we are all honored to have had the opportunity to benefit from your expertise. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Dr. Pracheta Bakshi for a formal vote of thanks. Over to you, Pracheta.
Thank you, Dr. Priyanka, and namaste, everyone. So here it is. I feel honored to propose this formal vote of thanks on the behalf of Lakshmi College, Indian Colleges Forum Seeds, and Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. We are thankful to be a part of the scheme launched by MHRD, Government of India, and Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teacher and Teaching. I would like to mention here the core team of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. First, the chairman, GAD TLC, Professor A.K. Bakshi, former Vice Chancellor, PDM University, Haryana, and UPRTOU, Prayagraj. Second, the director, Professor Jaswinder Singh, who is also the principal of SDTV Khalsa College. And last but not the least, the national coordinator, Professor Vimal Rar, who is also the project head and joint director, GAD TLC. Vimal ma'am, we all missed your jovial presence this time. I would like to thank our chief guest, Professor Kavita Sharma, for being here at the last moment, as she has said, and for her wonderfully delivered valedictory address today. I do not think there could have been any better address, and you have put the real picture in front of us, and we are very thankful to you for that. You have indeed opened up a new vista for all of us to ponder today. I would like to thank our guest of honor, Professor A.K. Bakshi. He is not here today, and he has conveyed his message that he is stuck with some work, and that we have been lucky enough to have him, in our earlier sessions. But Professor Jaswinder Singh is here with us, so I'm thanking him for taking out time today and joining us and gracing the concluding day. We have all benefited from your valuable presence and guidance. Further, I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude for the Program Director and Innovator Community Outreach, Professor Pratyush Vatsala, Principal of Lakshmibai College, for your initiation of this FDP. Program Advisors, very senior faculty members, Professor G.D. Sharma, especially for your role as a senior mentor for the entire organizing committee, and Dr. R.C. Sharma, especially for taking care of the technical front. Program Coordinator, LBC, Professor Anita Malhotra ma'am, for making exceptional efforts in order to organize this workshop, and Program Coordinator, ICF, Dr. Reshma Bhatts, for making everything fall at place. Without your guidance and insight, this FDP would not have been possible. I would like to thank our eminent speakers and other prominent people present for sparing their valuable time for us and gracing this event. The speakers have been Professor G.D. Sharma, Professor K. Ramachandran, Professor K. Srinivas, Professor R.C. Sharma, Dr. Vandana Gulia, Engineer Rahul Agarwal, Dr. Snehal Moghe, Dr. Kapil Modia, Professor A.K. Bakshi, Dr. Reshmi Jain, Professor Haritma Chopra, and Professor M.M. Pant. This FDP was conducted on a paradigm shift and challenges faced by the teaching community, and all of you with your own designated areas of specialization have enlightened and empowered us so that we can embrace the transformations proposed by National Educational Policy 4.0. As one of the academic organizing member, I would like to extend my sincere vote of thanks to my fellow academic organizing members, Dr. Priyanka Sharma, Dr. Prashant Kumar, Dr. Sumit Kumar Meena, for working round the clock in order to keep everything in order. And how can we forget our dear participants who attended every day with much gusto despite attending their professional call of duty? They have contributed with their relevant feedback and observations. You have been the backbone of our FDP. It is because of you that we have thrived, and we are indeed grateful and thankful to have received all those messages of appreciation. It has really boosted our spirit, and it actually makes me feel, at least I'm sure that all the other organizing committee members, they feel the same, that it's worth all the hard work which has been put into, it has come to a fruition. So thank you all. I would like to express our sincere gratitude for all known and unknown hands that contributed to the success of this FDP today. I apologize if I have left anyone. I have tried to cover everybody. And once again, I thank you all for being with us. Namaste. And now I would have a request to all of you. If all of you can just switch on your camera, and we can take a screenshot. Prashant, could you do that from your end?
The Reshma is there. Reshma, you can ask for the thanking.
I can ask, sir. Actually, earlier he told me that she will not be able to do it.
Okay,
so
okay,
she
fine.
had a conversation. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why.
Reshma, Pracheta, I cannot open anyone's camera, so everyone has to do that by default.
No. I'm thinking if you can just do it from your end, if you can take the screenshot. I mean, if everybody switches on their camera, and we can have a group photo, a virtual group photo. That's what I'm suggesting.
So, Professor Sharma, can you please open your camera?
Yes, sir. G.D. Sharma, sir, please open. And others also, I request, the other participants.
Yeah, so.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we can have a group photo together.
All right, done from my part.
Okay, thank you, Prashant. And I will request everyone now to stand for our national anthem. I'll play it in a while. Just give me some time. I'll play the national anthem and just give me some time.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Yes, Prachita.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I've come to an end of our FDP. Yes,
so we can say hip hip hooray for everyone.
Yes,
please.
Hip 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 hooray for all of us.
Yeah.
All right. Very well done. Heartiest congratulations.
Well done. Yes, heartiest.
Thanks to you. Thanks to G. Sharma sir. Thanks to our Sharma once again. Thanks to all of you who have been put. Nika Mai, I mean, who had given us point of time. So really, really thankful.
I think we are grateful to Professor Didi is
actually that's why Professor is a figure for all of us.